All right, all right. Welcome to another special episode of the Real Deal Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Courtney Harden. It's the Friday Night Lights edition of the podcast, but it's the Real Deal 2024-25 NBA season preview podcast. Let's get it. All right. Again, welcome to this special Real Deal podcast, 2024-25 NBA season preview podcast. Very excited with this one. This is our annual. We're going to get into a lot of all the things going on the upcoming NBA season, which is here. It's right around the corner. Starts Tuesday night, NBA regular season. One of my favorite times of the year in sports, and my two guests that been on this show many times. We've done this preview podcast for the last, I think, 4 or 5 years. So this is an annual thing. So I had to bring my boys on. But before I bring them in, you can follow the podcast on all podcast and social media platforms, whether it's Apple, Spotify, YouTube Music, not Google Play anymore, YouTube Music now. And you can also follow it on Spreaker. We're on the Roku channel, BS3 TV, Roku channel. Download the app. Download the website is BS3 Live TV, BS3TVLive.com. So you can follow it on there. You can follow me on all social media platforms, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Got a TikTok, but barely use it. But I'm on there too as well. So, but again, you can follow all the shows on there. Again, shout out to the BS3 Network, BS3TVLive.com. All right. Well, I'm done with the intros. I want to get this started because, like I said, this is one of my favorites and my guest favorites time of the year. The NBA season, the countdown is here. It's the beginning. We all love the NBA, basketball in general, but the NBA particularly. And I can't bring. I always bring these two guys on because these are two of the best with the analysis, the predictions. We get into some debates because we don't always agree. So that's what makes a good podcast. So first up, I'm going to bring in my best friend for goodness. This is my brother, my best friend, my brother. We've been doing this for 40 plus years now. We're getting old. So that's what the one thing it is. We've been doing this since we were young. Just the conversation, debate, just one of my guys. This is just like I say, he's a best friend of mine for so many years. My man James Jeter. What's good, man? How you doing?
Hey Courtney, what's going on, man? Appreciate you for having me on. And yeah, I mean, what we every time we talk about it, it feels like
Every
up and
year.
up and up, right? We 40 years into this now.
Yeah. So this
Before
we
it
would do
was
before it was
35
podcast. Yep.
years. Yeah,
Yep.
not yeah, we was podcasting before podcasting started up.
Yes, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. So, but we doing this 40 years later. We still doing it, and
Yeah.
I appreciate you for having me on.
Always, man. You always got the invitation. It's not even an invite. You just come on, whatever, kick your feet up, and we good. So we all good. And my next guest, I call him my real deal brother in the podcasting. Has the same name as mine with the podcast, The Real Deal with Damian Adams. I just did his show about 3 weeks ago, so he's no stranger to this either. This guy is so versatile with everything he does too, with basketball, boxing, football, whatever you got. You name it, he's in. So one of the best in the business too. So Damian, welcome back to the show. Really appreciate it.
Man, thank you for having me. Really appreciate that intro for sure. Every year, this is always something I look forward to because I'm talking to two people who definitely know their basketball and love their basketball. There's a lot of people out here who talk basketball who don't love it. And I think you can tell the difference.
Yeah.
So I like talking to you guys because I know that you guys love the game and know the game. And I'm looking forward to this, man.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. I'm glad. Like I said, we've been doing this collectively for the last 5 years. I think of it as like the podcast that we do. Like we listen to a lot of different people that know basketball and things like that. I look at it from like the ESPN perspective. We're the TNT crew. That's how I look at it as that. So people that really know, like you said, know their basketball, and we've been doing this for so many years, and so yeah, we just love it. So, but yeah, but I appreciate you guys both coming on and doing this again. But yeah, 2024-2025 NBA season preview. Can't believe it's already here. We just seem like the Boston Celtics just won this. they just won in June, but now we're here. It's October. So we're ready to roll. So let's get right into it. Let's get into the first topic. I want to get into a little bit of the NBA media side first before we get into the teams and our predictions and things like that. If we just talk about TNT, Warner Brothers TNT, looks like this is going to be their last year of Inside the NBA. The NBA media rights got a new deal with Amazon, ESPN, Amazon, and NBC. So, and now it looks like I said, Warner Brothers, TNT are not going to be. This is their last season unless they're suing the NBA or suing them, but I don't think anything's going to happen with that moving forward. But what's your guys' overall take of the Inside the NBA? Like, what do you think they're going to for this year? How to transpire? Are they going to go a little bit more than they usually do with a lot of things they do, or do you feel like they're going to just be the same and it's like a farewell, almost a farewell tour? Damien, I'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, I definitely expect them to still be them,
Yeah,
and they're going to make constant jokes about it, about how it's the last year and how I can just see Charles messing with Shaq and messing with Ernie about how it's the last time they're gonna be doing this together. But by the end, we're definitely going to get some emotional, just segments about how long they've been doing this. You think about it, Ernie and Kenny, they've been doing this now for damn near 30 years.
something like that.
Yeah, when you think about them two, starting it off and then Charles joining, that's been 20 plus years. And Shaq's almost been there for almost 10 years now, I believe. So when you talk about, just basketball legacy and basketball royalty, Inside the NBA is that. And it definitely sucks that it's coming to an end, but you also understand the business standpoint of it.
Yeah.
And, the NBA has to do what they have to do to get as much money as possible because they have to continue to pay these players who are making these astronomical contracts. So, those contracts don't pay themselves. You need the media rights, you need the advertisements, you need all the things you can get to be able to pay these teams and make sure that the money is coming in to continue to pay these players, especially with, I think people are kind of sleeping on overseas starting to get more and more NBA players. So I think the NBA is like, we have to make sure that we continue to provide the players with something that they know this is the best league in the world, not just by the talent, but also by the money they can make. And they have to continue to move forward and make more money in different ways. And one of those ways is getting the best TV contract. And unfortunately, TNT couldn't provide that with that money that NBC and Amazon can throw at the NBA.
No doubt. Yeah. And you're right with the Amazons and NBC getting back into the fold where they used to have the NBA. They with Peacock too, the streaming part of it. That's the big part. And some of these leagues like the NBA, NHL, and Major League Baseball, they were late to the party because the NFL they set the standard with this with streaming. It's like, oh, we can make more money doing it. Expanding to streaming with Amazon. So and places like Amazon, Apple, they got a lot of money. Netflix, and if they want to get involved too.
I have been surprised that Apple didn't get
Yeah.
it on. Like Apple Plus TV didn't get it on it because
Yeah.
they have the money and they want to have that streaming platform be successful too.
Right, they do, and then and then you talk about like with Netflix and with Peacock and all that, and that's where things are going. Is going to streaming. So the NBA is looking, okay, we're global. We got like I said, we're really globalized. We got to get into the streaming money. So Adam Silver was thinking, okay, ESPN, they paid. They were like, okay, ESPN's definitely part of it. ABC, ESPN, Disney, we're part of this. Oh well, okay, where else we're gonna distribute this? I thought it was gonna be 4, but they said we want to just do it with 3. So Amazon, NBC jumped in, and Warner Brother, TNT, unfortunately, are the ones that are out. But James, what do you think of the whole streaming, the NBA rights, and going to Amazon and NBC, Peacock?
I think, like you said, the NBA is doing what is best for the NBA in this situation. They have to be able to uh, get the most money possible. The league is growing. Viewership is dictating that they go for that big money, and And that's a good thing for the league. Of course, they needed that. And then Adam Silver tends to try to be forward thinking. And like you said, the streaming sites, that's the wave, right? The cable rights are not going to be able to keep up financially with the way streaming sites are going. And you look at Netflix, how they're paying actors $20, $30 million a movie, or they're able to do that. The NBA was just, NBA, NFL, those leagues are right on the heels of that, and they're probably going to take over. Those numbers are going to be ridiculous once things tend to what they seem to be leading towards is streaming. Everything you're paying for everything. I don't know how many sites we have to watch to watch television. And television isn't TV anymore. It's not TV like when you and I were kids, when there was 3 channels and it went off at 11, and we got white noise. And, you can get it. I'll date us. I'm all right with dating us. But it's the wave of the future. You want it in the palm of your hands. I don't know how much TV I literally watch shows on my phone while I'm at work. The access is crazy. I watch games, on my phone at work. So it was bound to happen. It stinks for the show because I think the show is amazing. I think it's a pillar. It became a pillar of the NBA, a major pillar, especially on the media side, with those former players, Hall of Famers, EJ being such a great host for this show. It's going to be hard to turn on the TV next year and not see inside the NBA in the way that we know it. The hope is maybe they'll come up with something. Maybe they'll figure something out on some of these other sites if they want to, if they choose to. But it's gonna be a little bit different without them.
Totally, yeah. And with Ernie, I know he had said, I mean, he's been on TNT, the TNT family for a long time when his father was broadcasting too baseball games.
Right.
And he's like, he doesn't want to leave because that's family to him. And what you said with Ernie, with Kenny, Shaq, and Charles Barkley, they also, you said they came up with that, especially with Kenny. Ernie and Kenny were, like I said, they were the first. That was the first. They
Right.
brought Kenny, and then Barkley came on, and then Shaq. So those 4, it is definitely a pillar. I agree, and I think it's one of the, if not, I mean, they've won so many Emmys. It's one of the the best, if not the best, studio show ever. They talk about that and College Game Day. They're always 1A, 1B, whatever you prefer, because College Game Day they from the college side, that's what Inside the NBA is for the NBA side. So
Yeah.
and then you got all these other shows that are trying to be like them. So it's definitely going to be bittersweet when that last playoff game, and they know it. And then you said they're going to poke fun at it. They're going to make some jokes. They're going to just do their shenanigans still. And that's just what they do. That's what made them who they are and why we like to watch it. And I really think. And the funny thing is, with $1.8 billion per year is crazy money. 11-year media rights deal. That's a lot of money. Just to say that, that's a lot of money.
With money like that coming in, you're going to start seeing players. Like my prediction is Luka's going to be the first one. You're going to see with $100 million per year.
Yeah,
that's going to be a thing pretty soon.
Yeah. That's coming. I looked at it today when I saw. I was watching NBA Today, and they were talking about the contract extensions that happened with Tatum and Embiid and Curry, and I can't remember who else. So I think it was Bam. And I'm looking and I'm thinking, this is $60 million a year for each of these players, right? With Bam about 58, I think 57, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And you're looking at it, right? And you're thinking, MJ making $36 million a year was ridiculous, right? And that was one season. One season. And it took what? Michael Conley was the first player to break that $30 million for one season mark. And the floodgates opened up wide.
And we lost our minds when Michael Conley was the highest.
Right. That was bananas. To think Michael Conley of all players, now you're looking at, like you said, Luka is on the door. He's on the precipice of getting that close to 100 million, if not 100 million, 101 million. These are the things that you don't think about when you're watching it in real time. and then it starts to creep up, and now $60 million is normal.
Yeah.
Where then 3-4 years from now, it's going to be small change. That's going to be the sixth man is going to be making $60 million a year. But
Yeah.
if you're getting $11 billion and you're getting $4 billion for a team, and you're getting these, you have a little bit of money you can use. So it's only right. This is just the evolution of the game. It speaks to the popularity of the
Yeah.
players, the popularity of the game, and it is just what is to look forward to.
No doubt. Yep. 11-year agreement that would net the NBA roughly $76 billion. 11-year deal from 2025 season all the way to 2035, 2036. I can't even think that that far. 11 years from now is crazy. But you're right. It's the popularity of the league. Like I said, the globalization of the league, and that the money's there. The money is there, and also the WNBA. They get a lot of that too, which I think they should get more. That's a
They
whole
should get
nother
more.
thing.
Yeah,
They should get a lot more. As Cheryl Miller said, it's not enough. She said we just need a bully in there to make sure that the WNBA, because their viewerships is going up and everything too. So and it's going to just keep getting more popular with that
And the
too.
WNBA finals viewership has been crazy. And Caitlin
been
Clark
crazy.
for everybody who thinks it's just the Caitlin Clark show.
Yeah,
right.
It's not
Right.
just the Caitlin Clark show. Like the
Yeah.
WNBA as a whole has been very good this year as far as viewership.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Viewership has gone up since she's been out of the playoffs. The Aces, all of that, they definitely had high viewership. So their day is coming too. This right now is
It's
the
coming.
Magic Johnson, Larry Bird version of the
Mhm.
WNBA.
Yep.
Juju's coming. Yeah, I can go there too. Juju's coming. All of these college players are coming, and that's the Michael Jordan. That's the '84. The '84 draft is coming, and the league is going to skyrocket for them, and they'll be fine. They're going to be good.
Yeah, they'll be good. You said Juju and Paige Beckers. Yeah, I mean, we go on and on with that. But shout out to the WNBA and the year.
Shout out to Logo Sabrina, man.
Yeah, Sabrina, man. yes.
The original deep ball shooter,
yes,
right?
the original. She had to make sure that when she sent her press conference, like, the second WNBA all WNBA team. Makes it, so that was a shot. That was a shot, which is she's right. She's like, okay, maybe I should have been all first team, but we can, I can definitely go on with WNBA. Well, I'll leave it be. But we got some shout outs. The NR Hour Sports Show himself, Nathan Ramachandra, always great to see
What's
you,
going
man.
on, sir?
And thank you for always supporting. So keep up the great work. So what's up? He said, "Let's go Liberty." Yep. Yes. So Sabrina on fire for sure. Liberty. I don't know if they're gonna finish tonight, but I think they win in. I think they win in 5 because I think Minnesota, they're going to adjust, and I think they'll win game 4. This series has been good. It's been amazing.
It's been good. Yeah, absolutely amazing.
Amazing season on top of that too. But all right, one more on the media side, and we'll get into the Eastern Conference, the Western Conference of the NBA. Let's talk about some of the changes with ESPN, particularly. You got Adrian Wojnarowski, who retired and took a general manager position at St. Bonaventure's, his alma mater. So we had that, the king of the insider for the NBA. So he's gone. Zach Lowe, well, I mean, one of my favorite writers in the NBA, just the in depth of what he's done and what he gets fired. So wait and see where he goes. I really miss his articles at this point with the preview. So we got that, but then ESPN just re-signed Chiney Ogwumike. I think it was definitely well deserved, and I know they just said I think it was Kendrick Perkins. I mean, you can already know how I feel about him. I don't wish nobody getting fired. I'm not even saying that at all. But if Zach Lowe gets let go, how do you keep someone like Kendrick Perkins? I know it's a whole logistics thing and being on TV and all that, but I want to ask what you guys think of how the ESPN coverage and now things have changed. Shams Charania and now has replaced Woj. So I mean, I think that's a good fit. I think he's better on TV than Woj was. He was Woj's protege. So it just made sense. He was the guy. He was the one guy that I think that could actually fill those shoes. But James, I'll start with you. What do you think of ESPN? How they're shifting how they are presenting the NBA, and having that huge contract because they had to make sure they got the media rights with the league as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about some. I think, like you said, Zach Lowe. I
Mm,
think he was. I didn't understand that one.
right.
But I think they're they've always shifted in and out. There have
Yeah.
definitely been analysts and color commentators and coaches and players who have come in and come out. So that part is expected. But it kind of threw me like David Aldridge threw me.
Mm,
When
yeah.
it's similar, right?
Yeah.
And I just didn't really see. I don't see the replacement. Where are you going to replace a Zach Lowe and what he does and what he brings in regards to his podcasting, the article writing, the analysis, the way he gets in there in depth with the
Yeah.
players, that locker room stuff. That I don't know who you're going to get to replace that. I'm not sure. I'm sure they have somebody that is in the wings that waiting to go ahead and take up that mantle. But it threw me like David Aldridge threw me when he didn't return. And as far as Kendrick, I don't mind. There's always you got to have somebody to kind of go against the Charles Barkleys and Chris Broussards and all those guys on these other networks who can throw out these somewhat outrageous takes and stand on it
Yeah.
and make you believe what he's saying. But I'm looking forward to seeing what they bring in. There's always somebody that you don't think about that comes in and does a great job, and I'm sure they'll have somebody in the wings, especially uh, on the calling commentary side with Burke and Breen. I think they have four guys in the running of what I saw today.
Yeah.
Four people in the running, and um, I like RJ and I like legs in that position. I don't know if I like Jay Billis. I think I saw him on there
Yeah.
for the NBA. And Grant Hill, I don't think that's really his forte, but I think they'll be fine. ESPN will figure out a way, and we'll always watch no matter what.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. We definitely that's the main thing. We always will watch.
Yeah,
And that's the thing. I think with ESPN, you said there's been so many changes with their studio show. The studio show just never could get it right. I do like NBA today. I do like
yeah,
that. Like I said, I'm just not a fan of Kendrick Perkins. I understand what he's there to bring. It's just like he's so outrageous sometimes. Not even just outrageous that I could care for. It's just more of him sometimes. It's just him and his analysis. He really does irk me sometimes. But like you said, I still watch, and I just feel like Zach Lowe. Like if you resign all these guys, all these people, and then Zach Lowe, he got the short end of the stick, and I thought, okay, like they said, well, he made too much money. Well, now you just resign a bunch of people, and now Stephen A. Smith, he's up for a lot of money. Whether it's going to be on ESPN, which I still feel like he's not gonna leave. He threatens, but they'll I don't think I'll give him 20 million a year, but he wants to make that Aikman Joe Buck money. He does a lot, he does a lot for them and everything too. But I'm more of a PTI. I still like Wilbon and Kornheiser on ESPN, but you just said their studio show has changed a lot. I mean, from the Magic Johnson time when they had him and Wilbon and that whole and Sage Steele and Rachel Nichols and I mean it was Michelle Beadle. I mean they made a lot of changes and now Greeny's on there now, so it's gonna be interesting to see how that dynamic continues. They just never can get their studio show right. But what do you think, Damien, of the shift of how ESPN and their media how they're going to present it at least for this season coming up?
It's funny that you mentioned the studio show NBA Countdown and how they've been trying to get it right for so many years.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that they've messed up on is not having people on the show long enough. We just
Mm,
talked about how Ernie and Kenny and Shaq and Chuck have been working together for decades now.
yeah.
And that chemistry is organic when you spend that much time together. Now, of course, they have the personalities that go with each other. Like, you're not going to have Shaq and Chuck anywhere else, right? That's just a dynamic that's special to TNT. But if you take the time to let something grow organically, like for example, I think last year or the year before last, we were talking about how they let Jalen Rose go. Jalen Rose was
Yeah.
just one steady person of NBA Countdown that everybody looked to, like, okay, he's the guy who, if he did go on TNT, he would fit right in. And you don't have anybody like that really from a player perspective Kendrick can be that. He can be funny at times. He has outrageous takes, but you don't have that chemistry that TNT has because you don't never let it grow. Like they always are panicking about trying to fix it. And the thing is, it wasn't the talent's fault because when you watch TNT, you see them get to take their time. You see them get to go through segments, get to have fun with ESPN. Like they about getting these commercials in. Like when you watch ESPN games, they're gonna get these commercials. And the halftime show literally be mostly commercials. They'll go for like a minute. They'll get everybody like a quick little, you get to say this real quick, 20 seconds, go. 20 seconds, go. And then Stephen A might get a minute, go. And that's it. And then they back to commercials. You have to give them time. And TNT, because they weren't as money hungry, I guess, were able to give their show time to breathe and grow. And that's why it's a better product. But as far as we talked about it off camera after we did my show, I was shocked by the Zach Lowe news. I'm a big Zach Lowe fan. He's one of the guys who inspired me as far as the style of writing. And his podcast, not only with the analysis, but like James mentioned, you get the analysis. You also get in-depth interviews. And he would do a great job of finding out little things about players that they didn't even know he knew. Like I remember he was interviewing like Cole Anthony, and he talked about how Cole Anthony and another player on the team had like this special relationship. And he was like, how do you even know about, this thing that we had on the side we was doing? He was like, man, I just, did some digging. And that's some of the stuff that you're going to miss out on. Yeah. We're not having that type of guy there. But like James mentioned, they usually have somebody that's coming up, somebody that's waiting in the wings, because there's a lot of talented people out there who can maybe not do just as good as Zach Lowe, but do something different than Zach Lowe and still give you that same type of analysis and detail, because that's what we're missing. Because you no longer have JJ Redick. Of course, he's coaching the Lakers. He's one of those guys who brought you that analysis and that detail. Zach Lowe. So now we have Legs. I'm guessing Legs is on the lower end as far as the money, so you can keep him, but he's somebody who can provide that type of detail that you want. Richard Jefferson could do that as well, but he's also there for the comedy. And him and Kendrick Perkins do have a good relationship. They have something that chemistry can build if they let it build there on NBA Countdown. It seems like them and Malika really have like a good thing going when they're working together. So it's something that can build. You just have to give it time. And for the show to be good, especially the halftime show and pregame show, cut some of the commercials. I know ESPN, they've been cutting people because they don't have the money, but you got to have the talent, let them display what they can do. And that's how you get to the point where you have the Inside the NBA type of show, because you let them display what they can do and have more segments. But as far as Woj, huge respect to insiders. I don't know how they do it, especially if you're an insider of an entire league. Yeah. And I did like a little work being an insider for the Phoenix Suns, and I was exhausted. Like just the mindset you have to be in to know, like, okay, I have to work on these relationships, but I still have to be objective. But I can't be too objective because I don't want to mess up this relationship because I might need that person's information. Like, it's a lot of juggling that's involved in that I don't want to do. So with insiders, I have a real respect for what they do. And one thing that always confused me, I think I heard Bill Simmons talk about this as well. I never got why being the first to report something was so important. The information is going to get out there regardless. Like, if the team wants us to know, the information is going to get out there. Now, there are certain things that insiders may be able to find out, and that's why you pay them big bucks, that a team may not want you to know that you can report. And that's different. But for the most part, it's going to be stuff that, when so-and-so gets signed to a new deal, that's going to be out there anyway. So what's the rush in being the first to announce it? I never got why that was so important, because it's more about the analysis of what this move means than saying, oh, we're the first to report it. Like, I never got why that meant so much.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think because Adam Schefter, with the NFL, and there's a lot of insiders too, just in the NFL. They always wanted to say they want to rush and be the first. But like you said, when you're on Twitter or anything, you see it's like, 2 seconds later, Diana Rossini just announced something, the same thing, and they probably got the same. They probably got the same people that have given them this information. Yeah. It's just like, well, I'll put this out first, and then you'll put this out next. And he said there's a lot of great insiders. I mean, even for Zach Lowe, ESPN, I think they do have a good, they do have a lot of good people on there that could. Brian Windhorst would have been perfect like just to slide right in. He's another guy that I really enjoy. Watching his analysis, he could have been the insider. If they didn't go with Shams, I think Windhorst was going to be, and I think they were going to do a collective. Chris Haynes, he could have been another one. That was really good. He's still a free agent, I think. So they have Ramona Shelburne. I think she's another one. She had talked about this. I was listening to a podcast with her. She was talking about at the time before they signed Shams. She thought like they was going to have a collective because they got so many. They do have so many good people, talented insiders, and they're still going to have their thing. But Shams now he gets in that number one spot. He fit right in, and I figured he would because he's really good on camera, better than Woj is. So when it comes to that, he's just a little bit more comfortable. He's younger, but he's a little bit more comfortable, and he gets the same insight. But like you said, if Woj gets it, Shams had it too. It just depends.
Yeah.
So,
like I said, I just never got why it was so important to be first.
Right.
Because ESPN, back when Woj was at Yahoo, I guess that was the big thing that they had to say. So and so from Yahoo reported this, and that was like embarrassing, I guess. But like, okay, so and so from Yahoo reported this. What do you think, Stephen A? And we're watching ESPN because we're having Stephen A talk about it. Like, I don't know why.
He's coming on Sports Center. He's coming on Sports Center 6:00, and Stephen A's post is saying this. It's like, well, we just heard this like 5-10 minutes ago. So I guess they want the insider to put it out, and then they want the analysis from a Stephen A or Shanae or somebody like that. So
it's the newspaper effect.
It is.
It's those. I think that's gone now, though, right? The idea of the newspaper is pretty much gone. But back then, you wanted to be the first one to put it out because then everybody was buying the newspaper. That you had what nobody else had. And like you said, we'll watch the draft, and Shams will have who's being drafted. 10 seconds later, Woj. It goes back and forth. Somebody else will have. Chris Haynes will have something. And you can see it back and forth. It got to a point where one year I was watching through Twitter while watching it. Man, like, this is just annoying. I'm going to see it in 15 seconds anyway. But I want to do what? See it first so I can text you, Court, and be like, yo, you see, what does that mean? You're going to see it anyway.
20 seconds later, yep.
So it's just a lot of headache that I just got tired of. And it didn't really feel like something that I needed. Because I'm going to get the information no matter what. And like you said, Damian, that information's getting out. They're not getting that information from different sources. The teams know what they're going to leak. They know what they're going to get out there. They know who's going. It's just a matter of who they texted first. Who got the information first, right? Is it in-house or is it national? That's what it comes down to. They're not really breaking anything that the teams, organizations, players don't want broken. If they don't want anybody to know about it, they're not going to know. But if they want them to know, they're going to be like, all right, who's first or who texted me last? All right, Damian is here. He was in the locker room the other day. His number's up here first. Let me text him about this news about Kevin Durant because it's right here. But, I got to text Woj because it's ESPN worthy. And I got to text, so it's all the same information, just who got it first. And it doesn't mean anything. But the storytelling, those things where you can sit down with somebody and get them in-depth articles, that kind of stuff. That's what I appreciate from somebody like a Zach Lowe and Chris Haynes, when they get to sit down with somebody and do something with them and get a little bit more information. Ramona Shelburne, that stuff is really, that's that in-depth stuff that I can appreciate from those individuals.
I think all three of us definitely do that. We love that in depth. I think that's why we were big fans of Zach Lowe. And even someone like Bill Simmons, he doesn't do it as much, but when he first started his podcasting and then he was working for ESPN, he was getting, he had Zach Lowe on Grantland. So, when they had that team, that was it. So, that was, I do miss it. We still have it. We still have the storytelling. It's just, I think ESPN, they're just getting away from that more than anything. Now it's just more about, hot takes and clickbait, things like that. But they got a lot of talent. I like it.
Hey, Court, it's funny that you mentioned the storytelling. Somebody posted a clip the other day from like an old NBA or NBC game. It was just the beginning of the game. And I forgot how detailed they would go. Like Bob Costas would like tell the story of the game prior to the game and how they would show the highlights of him talking. That's something that I miss. So hopefully NBC, with them coming back, they bring that type of stuff back where they're like, really telling you like, oh, okay, this is what the story of this game is going in. And then you get, of course, the classic music. I will enjoy that, of course. But
Yeah.
but
Yes.
but as
For
far
sure.
as, like you said, that storytelling, that's something that fans need and casual fans need it. So like when you had someone like a Bob Costas who would come on and tell you the story of why this is such a big event, the fact that Michael Jordan's playing at Madison Square Garden for the last time, it was like, oh, okay, now I get it. Now I'm into this. Like this, I think that's something that's missing from NBA coverage that hopefully comes back with the new expansion of the coverage.
They need to just go and get the big three in there: L. Duncan, Chiney Ogwumike, and Andrea Carter. Let them do the NBA also. And because that was the chemistry, they were like the TNT guys. They when they did it with the college basketball, the women's college basketball, and they continue with the WNBA, just have them. They just resigned, like I said, they just resigned Chiney. They resigned Monica McNutt, put her on there too, and let's have them just do it. And I think ESPN would be fine and just let L. Duncan let her host and do it. Like I said, no one can beat Ernie. Of course, I'm not comparing anybody to him, but you said ESPN's done so many changes. They have all these hosts, and Malika Andrews I like Malika Andrews. She does good. I think she does real good with hosting too. Just have them do it, and they say get Tim Legler. They should let us just let us do and get the tell which talent we like and say, hey, this is what we should put together. But
I would love them to be the normal host, and then you bring in like a Legs, somebody like that every once in a while to come in. Like, I would love that idea.
Yes, and then have Cassidy Hubbard be the she get in there too. I mean, I can just go on and on. I like all those guys, all those people there. But all right, let's get into this NBA preview. I just wanted to talk a little insider type of thing with the media and stuff with so much changes and things like that. But we're gonna start with the Eastern Conference. And I think the biggest question with the Eastern Conference is, can anyone dethrone the Boston Celtics? I think that's the biggest question on the Eastern Conference heading into this season. Are there any teams in that top half? And I was trying to think, okay, is there any team that's even close? And I feel like, and James, you're gonna be a little surprised because we don't really like this team and they're, some of their fans, I would say not like, but it is the New York Knicks, and we always picking on the Knicks and their fans and things like that. But do they have the team? I think to me, they might be the team to. I don't think they're going to dethrone them, but they're the closest, I think, to contend against the Celtics. So, James, I'll start with you on this one. What team in the top half of the East do you feel like can actually contend with the Boston Celtics?
Everything is based on injuries. We're looking at injuries right now, and you're looking at the Knicks. And I had a conversation today about the Knicks, and if Mitchell Robinson is there and you plug him into that lineup with Cat, that's a difficult team to play with, to deal with. But you're looking at them and they're playing Boston first game of the season, and you're thinking, well, Porzingis won't be there, right? Mitch isn't there. And the person I talked to was like, well, Mitchell Robinson's not there. Yeah, it's a little different. But if we're talking cupboards full, everybody's playing. The Knicks are a contender to this. I don't put them at the top. I put Philly there. If everything goes into play, I think that they have found the shooting, the playmaking off the bench, and I think they have the right player to take some of that weight off of an Embiid on a night to night. If he's not there, if Paul George, again, injuries aside,
we already.
And again, he's already injured. He's already hurt.
Already,
and so these are the things you're looking at. That you're looking at Milwaukee. I'm thinking the same thing. If Middleton is not injured, but he's already injured, and Giannis is still dealing with the calf, and Dame is dealing with an Achilles, and you're looking at this thing and you're thinking, man, these guys are already hurt. And then you look down the line and you're thinking somebody like a young startup like Orlando. Are they ready? No. But do they have what it takes with length? Yes. Do they have the shooting that it would take to beat a Boston? Maybe not. But those are the teams that I think can push them. The Knicks can push them. Injuries, aside, I think the Sixers can push them. And I don't think it's as much of a cakewalk as it seems, it may be out there right now. But I do think the Celtics are, the top of the East.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is the Celtics. I don't think it what it was last season. It seemed like the Celtics just they ran away with it and they ran away with the championship and they put in the work. Jalen Brown and Tatum, getting Drew Holiday, of course, that was like the
Huge.
biggest key. He was the Swiss Army knife. He was the do everything. And and Derek White. I mean, and Porzingis was the X factor.
Porzingis was the X
He's
factor.
the X factor. So they're starting five along with just those five. They kind of just went right through the East. Once the Knicks got put out and the Sixers with I just can't believe in them. I just can't. I'm trying to, but it's because the MB's already talking. He might not even play back to back the rest of his career. He says, and yeah, can that be talk? Yes, but you got to bubble wrap him. He's the Kawhi Leonard. You got to bubble wrap that guy, and it's unfortunate that his knees are just a big man with that skill set, but his knees are almost gone. I just I don't see a path with them getting. They just picked at Paul George. Now he's hurt, as you said. Maxey just re-signed with a lot of money. Is it enough? I don't know. That's why I can't put them. They're up there, but I can't put them like second at least. They're the team though. I feel that could actually be close, and I think it's the Cleveland Cavaliers. I really feel that Garland, if they can play together, and with Mitchell, Garland, that's the big if, and their bigs can stay healthy, and Mobley finally takes that next step. I think they are a team that can actually could contend against the Celtics out of all the teams in the East. Maybe besides the Knicks, I do like Cleveland. What do you think, Damien? What do you think of the top of the East? Anybody that we haven't named, or anybody that you're looking at for that can actually can contend with the Celtics?
I think the best option is the Knicks, even though I think their roster is too top heavy. Like I said on our show, I think their roster is like Johnny Bravo.
Yeah,
body, little bitty legs. Like they just real top heavy. And once you get past that starting five, are you trusting Mitchell Robinson to stay healthy? Who's your next guy off the bench? Is it Miles McBride? Is it Cameron Payne? Like, who is it that you're trusting? And that trust where it really matters when it comes to Tibbs as a coach, because he's only playing the people he truly trusts. Like, he's not just going to throw you out there.
We know that.
Like, he's playing the people that he trusts. So it worries me because they have so few people that he trusts on this team because of lack of depth. And we hate to talk about it, but injuries are a real thing. And you have players on this team with an injury history. OG Anunoby has a history of being hurt. And he's one of the most important players. He's one that really helps with the versatility, right? Because if that starting five is healthy, it's very versatile. They can pretty much switch 1 through 4 and also 1 through 5, depending on the matchup with Cat. They can switch everything and be very good defensively, depending on how good Cat is from night to night. We know Cat can have certain nights where he's following you 40 feet away from the basket. He's following people. Like, what are you doing, Cat? Why are you doing it? He'll have those moments for sure. And Tibbs going to yank him by frustration. But if Cat is just being disciplined in the how Mikal Bridges is going to play defensively. You know what OG Anunoby is going to bring. You know what Josh Hart's going to bring. So they have some great defensive players on that team. So they could be one. Philadelphia, again, if healthy. I don't mind him saying he's not going to play back-to-backs because it's like 14 games. So if he misses those 14, but he plays the rest, which is unlikely, but if he plays the rest of those games and misses 14, I'm not mad at that. Because that means he's still playing, 66 games, 68 games. So he's still playing a large chunk of the season. So if back-to-backs is what you need, and thank you for telling us ahead of time, because now I can look at the schedule and I can see, this is back-to-back. I'm not buying tickets because I know Joel Embiid's not.
Right.
Yeah. So thank you for telling us ahead of time you're not playing, because that's my biggest thing. Tell us ahead of time that you're not going to play back-to-back, so we know not to buy tickets for that game. Right? It might hurt. The NBA might be like a little salty about that, but we know as fans, okay, I'm not going to buy tickets to this game, or if I do buy tickets, they better be a little cheaper because I know Joel Embiid's not going to be playing. So that's a big thing with him is can he stay healthy? Paul George, can he get back? That team, if healthy, is very good. And we know before he got hurt last year, Joel Embiid was on a historic pace, putting up Wilt Chamberlain numbers, like literally putting up Wilt Chamberlain numbers last year before he got hurt. So he can get
The
back.
runaway MVP.
Yeah, he was running. He was running away with the MVP award last year before he got hurt. So I think that team could definitely contend. With Cleveland, you brought up Evan Mobley. That's the big question with that.
Yeah.
Can he take that step we've been waiting for offensively? And I'm starting to believe he won't. I'm starting to believe he is who he is, who is still a good player, but he's not going to be like people thought he was going to be Kevin Garnett. And Kevin Garnett was never the best offensive player, but there was times where you knew you could depend on Kevin Garnett to score for you. And Evan Mobley, he hasn't gotten to that stage yet where you can throw him the ball and say, we need a bucket from you, Evan. Can you get it for us? And he's not there yet. So now you're depending on guards, who I love. We talked about it last year. Garland, Mitchell, love those guys. But it's hard to depend on those smaller guys where you say, I need a bucket right now in this moment. And you got Mitchell who may have to shoot it from 30 feet away or may have to drive into the lane amongst the trees and try to get something that's a tougher basket. When you have someone like Evan Mobley, who's already damn near 7 feet tall, if not, who you want to give the ball to in that moment, but you can't trust him yet. So that's what scares me about Cleveland. Orlando, just a little too young. I like that team a lot. I love the addition of KCP. I think he's definitely going to add something to that team, both defensively and offensively. Shooting is the big thing that they were missing. I think that KCP definitely adds to that. I wish they could have gotten like Buddy Hield as well. I think that another shooter would have been big for them. But I want to see Banchero take another leap. Franz Wagner, find your shot. I don't know what happened to it last year, but find your jumper. I don't know if it just went for a walk or
somewhere. It's still missing
find
somewhere.
Your jumper. If Franz Wagner can find his jumper, and you have someone like Paolo Banchero taking another step, which we expect him to do because #1 overall pick. We saw flashes last year. We expect him to take another step this year. I can see Orlando being a scary team that you don't want to play in the playoffs, but not enough to where Boston is.
Not yet.
Not yet. So I think Boston should be the favorite, but the Knicks have a chance if I think they need to make another small move.
They're not done.
Add like a bench player for sure.
Right. Well, there was one team we were talking about, young team like Orlando. I do like Orlando a lot too. I think they'll definitely make some noise just because of the pieces that they put together. Getting KCP, I really like that move. We didn't talk about the team that was actually in the Eastern Conference Finals, the Indiana Pacers.
Yeah.
Do you guys see them actually taking that next step and being contenders? I mean, they did beat the Knicks. I mean, the Knicks had some injuries and things like that, but they did beat the Knicks. What do you guys think of Indiana, and will they stay at that top half, that top 4 or 5? James, I'll start with you on that one.
I think they surprised the league last year, and I don't think they'll surprise the league this year. I think that's what it comes down to. There were flaws in their game that they overwhelmed people with scoring, and they were able to catch people on their heels. Those same flaws are there. They didn't address much. They're still going to be good, but Halliburton got hurt, and he kept getting hurt, and then it was never really the same. And at this time of the year, I don't think people are going to sleep on his ability. Last year, he kind of snuck up on people with the skill set and the things that he could do and the shooting. But I don't think that they addressed their team and put them in the championship position. So I don't see them, I don't put them at the top in the top 3, 4. I put them about where they were last year. They ended up 5 last year, 6, and I think that's where they were, and that's kind of where I had them last year. But I didn't expect them to end up sneaking up on people and winning some games and winning some playoff series. I don't expect that again this year. I think that people are going to be ready for them, and because they didn't make enough changes or the right changes, I don't see them contending with the top teams in the East.
Yeah, I agree. I think as you said, they were good shooting team. They played fast. They were trying to outscore everybody. But I feel like they didn't address the defensively. They'll have to make stops, and getting Siakam I think was a good move, and I think it helped them especially down the stretch.
For sure.
But then Siakam in the playoffs, you say this guy should be putting 20 a night every single night, but it's the inconsistency. If he was more consistent, getting you 20 to 25, I'd still feel like they would actually be a threat. But again, I don't think they defend, and they can outscore. But when those nights when they can't, when they're not hitting their shots like that, I like their depth. But when they're not hitting their shots like that, I think that could be a huge problem. What do you think, Damian, of Indiana? Do you think they can actually get back to where they were, take that next step? Would they be a contender in your opinion?
They remind me of the Sacramento Kings. Remember the year before last,
Mm-hmm.
Sacramento snuck up on people. They were playing fast. They were scoring a bunch of points, and they got the third seed in the Western Conference. Last year, people knew what to expect. They didn't make the playoffs. Now, Indiana's in the Eastern Conference, so they'll still make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But they're no longer going to catch people by surprise, like James said. And also, you talked about consistency. Tyrese Halliburton, the lack of consistency in his game, scoring-wise, has to be better. Like, you have to be able to depend on him for 20 points a night, along with all the assists. I love his playmaking. I love how quick he makes decisions and how he finds open players. He led the league in assists last year for a reason. But scoring-wise, especially in the playoffs, you have great nights, and then the next day he's getting 4 points. So you got to have more consistency from him, especially come playoff time against the better defenses, to open up your offense. Because there was times during the playoffs where you're like, oh, man, we got to get TJ McConnell in here, get some points from the point guard. Like, there was literally times like that where you felt like that. You feel like, okay, we need McConnell to come in here and provide a spark for us because Halliburton's not doing it. And they definitely play hard. They played better defense in the playoffs because people may forget because they got swept by Boston that those games were close, actually.
They were.
They should have won game one for sure. And there's a couple other games that they could have won. So when you think about it that way, they have a chance, but they also got very lucky. No Giannis in round one. Then you get to round two, the Knicks have all their injuries.
Yeah.
So to have that 2 years in a row, probably not going to happen. So I probably see them as a team that I can easily see first round, them playing against Orlando. Everybody picking, all of the experts picking, Indiana because of what they did last year, and then Orlando shocking the world because Orlando's a better team.
Yeah.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the bottom of it. Well, before that, we was talking about the Bucks, and I wanted to bring them up because they're always in contention. Now Doc Rivers gets a full year with this team. Giannis is already talking, like he said, injuries, but he's thinking, all right, this might be my last chance with this team put together collectively. And I was listening to Bill Simmons' podcast earlier today, and they were talking like how old this team is. And if you think about it, how many years on their like Middleton, like he said, 12 years, I believe, something like that. And Giannis is in his 10th season. Brooke Lopez in his 17th season or something crazy. Bobby Portis 10th season. So their core Dame is in his 12th or 14th season, something like that. But all their starting five or their top six players are older now. So it makes you wonder, like, okay, they don't really have a lot of youth on their team. Is this their last chance? Like I said, Dame, you see Dame, you do see the Dame every 4 or 5 games now. Like you see that where he can actually give you 30, 40, but then he goes 4 for 18 in a couple games after that. So Dame's not the same guy, but you still can count on him being Dame time when it counts. But injuries and things like that, you guys feel like the Bucks now the last 2 years have been put out in the first round, like 2 years being put out in the first round. What do you see? What do you see with the Bucks, Damon? What do you see with them? Do you think Doc Rivers has enough to really get this team in the contender, being a contender?
Well, they definitely have enough if they're healthy. But that's the thing. Are they going to be healthy? Giannis the last 2 years hasn't been healthy going into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing with him. He's supposed to be the one that's durable.
Yeah.
So if he's hurt, they have no shot. Yeah. Then last year we were also dealing with Dame having injuries as well. And Chris Middleton, I don't know if we'll ever see him be healthy for a full year again.
I don't think so. Mm-hmm.
So when you have so many players who are at this point injury prone, that's what you got to look at, and I hate to, again, I wish we could, put it on 2K and turn the injuries off,
Right.
You do it, and you hope that they are healthy, because I would love to see them healthy going into the playoffs and see what that looks like, especially after a full year with Doc. And I know we have our criticisms of Doc Rivers, but he is somebody who has I think he's in the top 10 in wins in NBA history, and then you have to give that some type of recognition and know that he can lead this team to a good regular season record, and he can lead them past the first round. And he passed the second round. Now, when it comes to deep in the playoffs, that's when you worry about Doc as far as a coaching matchup against other coaches. But as far as this team making a run, if they're healthy, they could definitely make a deep run, because Giannis is such a force when he's healthy in the playoffs. We've seen it. The year they won a championship, he just was like, okay, we're winning. I don't care what's going on.
Yeah.
Quick, hey, get on my back, boys. We're going to the championship. And we know Giannis has that ability, but he just has to be healthy to do it.
Yeah, and I think too with Dame Lillard, just his first year being away from Portland, the adjustments, and he was dealing with a lot of things too off the court, with a divorce, personal things that he was dealing with too, and so he had to adjust. And then, as you said, he's in the back end of his career, just like some of the other, like I said, with Lopez and a few of those other players. With even Pat Connaughton, he's been with the team from the beginning for a long time too. So. So yeah, I've always I was picking them the last couple of years. I don't think this year. I think it just depends. You said on the health, and you said you're right. I think Chris Middleton. I don't think we're going to see that guy. He hasn't been the same since that championship because of the injuries. His knees are just deteriorating and just getting injured. He can give you. He's another one that can just give you certain games you could count on him. But I guess healthy, Giannis healthy. They are definitely. I think they're definitely contenders. We think James of Milwaukee, them being a contenders if healthy.
Yeah, they were one of the teams that I mentioned.
Yeah.
As far as being able to contend with Boston, if they're healthy, I believe in them. I believe in their ability. I think that their age actually works, because I think that now that they've been together under Doc for this amount of time, they'll understand how to play off of each other. I think last year Dame and Giannis took a long time to learn how to play off of each other. They couldn't quite figure it out. And I saw an interview with Dame where he said, we just had a conversation, and he said, Dame, if I'm not passing the ball, just tell me. And Dame was like, oh, I didn't know, right? I just let you rock, right? Because you're Giannis, let you do what you do.
Yeah.
But it got down to a point where he said, I had to tell him, Giannis, pass me the ball. Yo, I'm here. Give me the ball, right? And he said, because sometimes I just don't think about it. I'm just in go mode. I'm always on go, go, go. And when they having those kind of conversations, they can then start to rely a little bit more on each other, where that starting five may be one of, if not the oldest group in the league. But that's a lot of veteran leadership, a lot of plays, a lot of understanding and seeing different scenarios, that if they're doing that with Doc leading them, they can learn how to play off of each other. It's time for Dame to go. It's time for us to make some moves and draw two and kick out to Chris. Just let them get there and knock a few down. And they're old in their starting lineup, but they have some youth on their bench that I think can do some things. Andre Jackson, I like as a utility guy. Maybe it's a little bit of a bias because he's from out this way where I'm at. But really, when you watch him play, he doesn't need the ball in his hands. But he does a lot when he gets it. He can move that ball. If he can find a jump shot, he's definitely going to play heavy minutes. And he played a lot last year as a rookie. Your Beauchamps, there's somebody who can score. You're looking for somebody who can get the ball and get you a bucket. He can do that. You got Connaughton, who's that utility Caruso type guy, maybe not at that level, but he can do a few different things. And Bobby Portis, we all know what he can do. I think they have enough. It's just about whether or not you're looking to put the load of the minutes on a Bobby Portis, on an Andre Jackson, or you really, when you really need Giannis to play starters minutes, you need Dame playing starters minutes, you need Middleton playing starters minutes. And if they can get that, then they're going to be pretty tough to deal with. And I think that they can contend again, injuries withstanding.
Yeah. And then they replace some of their depth, getting them upgrades, Gary Trent Jr., Taurean Prince. So they did add DeLon Wright. So they lose Patrick Beverly, but I don't think that was because Patrick Beverly he didn't make that much of a difference with that team last year. I mean defensively, but Patrick Beverly's not to me the same guy that he was 5-6 years ago, and they replaced Gary Jay Crowder as well. So yeah, I do like their depth as you said that their experience, and now that Dame and Giannis now playing together for the second year will help. And it kind of reminds me of when Wade and LeBron kind of got together too. It was like, let's find that medium
Right.
where okay, you're the man. Wade's like, okay, I can take a step back. I've already won a championship. You're yes, you take over. You need to do what you need to do. Your Dame time, Giannis is saying this is why we recruited you to
Right.
be Damian Lillard. So yeah, so maybe Lillard, and like I said, health permitting, they'll be able to make some noise. So all right, I want to get into a little bit of the bottom half of the East, and then we'll move on to the West. Any teams in the bottom that the play-in teams, the Miami Heat, we haven't really brought up. Like what does that look like? Atlanta Hawks, they seem like they're a staple of playing. Them, our Chicago Bulls, James playing and bust. That's what they seem like. That's their expectations and everything too. But any team in the bottom that you guys feel like can actually make some noise, maybe get a first round upset. Damien, I'll start with you. What do you think any of the teams on that bottom? Toronto, any teams on the bottom half?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I feel like the East is like a 6-team conference. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
like we talked about we talked about Boston, New York, Philly, Milwaukee, Orlando, Cleveland,
There's
and
your top
then
six.
yeah, and once you get past that, you always gotta give Miami their credit because they're always scary. They always can have that type of run. But Jimmy Butler's getting older. He didn't really make any big moves that really stand out.
No.
Uh, you know,
And Jimmy's mad right now.
yeah,
He's ornery, so that's not going to turn out well.
yeah, exactly.
No.
Then you got Chicago, who I'm interested to see what happens with Giddy being more of the point guard. I think he's more built for that. But you wonder what's going to happen with Kobe White. Is that going to affect Kobe White's production? But Zach LaVine looks good preseason. So you're looking forward to seeing like if he plays well. It's not more about if he's going to help the team. It's more about now they can trade him. Like that's the thing. Like once he plays well, it proves that he's back to being himself. It's gonna be like, okay, now a team's gonna be interested because they see you being back. He's gonna get traded. So I don't see anybody really outside those top six that really interests me in a big way. To be honest with you, I'm watch. Of course, I'm gonna go League Pass and check them out, but not anybody who I'm like running to the screen to say like, oh, let me go watch this team.
Yeah, true. And like you said, I guess you give the respect to Miami. They could probably be a 7th or 8th seed, but you said they didn't make any moves. And you're right, James. Jimmy Butler, an honorary Jimmy Butler, and upset Jimmy Butler. He's already seen like he's his welcome is not there. He's wearing out his welcome. And I think with Pat Riley is like, okay, we've had enough now with Jim. We've got as far as we could with Jimmy Butler. But I feel bad because Bam Adebayo could he's the number one. I should be the number one option now on this team. But but you need that Jimmy. But getting into the playoffs, will we see a playoff Jimmy? I don't know. Is it still there? Is it still in him? Maybe. I don't know. He was got injured last year, so the Celtics beat them. So it's just one of those things. I don't know. I don't think Miami at this point, they didn't really do much in the offseason building this team, but you still got Eric Spoelstra, who's one of the best coaches. So I guess it could put them in the 7th or 8th. See, Atlanta, they're just Atlanta. They're gonna probably get an 8th seed and get bounced out again. So it's just like that's what it is. So yeah, I don't see any other teams, even our Bulls. Like I said, they're a play-in team if they make it, and then they probably lose in the play-in game. So it doesn't. Yeah. So I don't see any bottom teams either. But what do you think, James? Any bottom teams that you got your eyes on that you think could actually make some noise?
No. Just Chicago because that's the team, that's the squad. And I like Damien right on the head. I've been saying it all summer. if they can get Zach to play like Zach, they got a good trade chip. And that's
Yeah.
about it. Maybe I've been telling Courtney, off and on, I love the idea of moving them to Orlando, getting John Isaac and starting this thing in a different way, doing some things like that. But no, Washington, no, Toronto, no. I think these are just teams that are going to get beat up on. Atlanta will win some games. Atlanta is going to be Atlanta. Miami, I think I'm kind of over the idea of Miami is going to be Miami.
Yeah.
That's done. I'm kind of tired of that same old story because Miami is going to be Miami. They're going to be tough and they're going to lose. They're not winning a championship. Jimmy is doing what Jimmy does. He wears out his welcome, and it's at that point now where, like you said, Court, I think he's kind of done in Miami. He's coming to the season upset. He's already ornery and already bothered, and he's gonna, do what he does, cause problems in the locker room one way or another. Hopefully he doesn't. Hopefully they play well and they can come out and compete because if they're really on it, they're a solid team. But there isn't anybody in the bottom of the East that I think is going to be anything other than lunch meat for the top six.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree. I like what Detroit's trying to do now. Trajan Langdon.
Soon.
Yeah,
soon. They'll get there soon.
He's putting it together. I don't feel like
Yeah.
they're going to lose 28 straight again. I think that's hard to do again.
It's
but
Washington's job.
yes. Kate Cunningham, they did sign him to an extension. Now they're surrounding him with a lot of veterans. Tobias Harris, Malik Beasley, Tim Hardaway Jr., Paul Reed. So now they'll be respectable. So I do like what they're trying to do. They're trying to do like what Orlando's doing and what Indiana's done. So I can see I can see Detroit maybe finally putting it together. But yeah, I agree. I think those top six, and then whoever gets that 7-8 seed, it'll probably be Miami, Atlanta, probably more than likely. And then
I wouldn't be shocked if Detroit found their way into the play-in and won a couple of games with the talent that they have. I don't see Brooklyn doing anything like that. So yeah, Detroit, Atlanta, Miami, they'll probably battle it out. Wouldn't be surprised if Chicago found their way into the 10 again, won a game, and then just get beat.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't really see it after watching them the first couple of preseason games.
Agreed. All right. Well, let's go into the Western Conference, where we talk about every year. Western Conference is so loaded, but this is for real. Like this could be the most. This is for a long time. 1 through I don't know 10. 8,
legit.
9. Yeah,
don't
definitely.
Know who the winner is.
Yeah, who's going? Yeah, right. So
I don't know.
Who's gonna be number one? It's gonna be OKC. They getting the buzz. Like are they the best team in the West? Can't forget about Dallas. I think getting to the finals and now Luka, which I feel like he's gonna finally get that MVP. I think it's his time that he gets that MVP. But then you got Dallas, got Minnesota, who made moves, getting DiVincenzo. So we'll see what happens with them. Denver, they're still there. Memphis, we'll see what's going on with them. New Orleans, your squad, Damian, New Orleans, to see what they got and everything too. Phoenix Suns, we're getting Budenholzer. So there's a lot of teams. I don't know about the Clippers. I think now that they definitely gonna drop Kawhi Leonard.
One of the teams they beat up on.
Yeah. Kawhi Leonard now. He's like, oh, season start. Oh no, my knees hurt. I'm not recovered. Let me take a back seat again. Sacramento, Lakers, Houston. I mean, Golden State. There's so many teams that you just don't know. So Damian, we'll start with you. Let's start with the top half. Who do you think will be top 4 and which team you feel like is the favorite?
Well, as far as the regular season goes, I'm going OKC as the best team in the West. Now, I think it's going to be a different story come playoff time with OKC, kind of like it was last year. They had the best record, but then came playoff time, they ran into Dallas. It was a little different. So I think regular season, this team is really built to win a lot of games, especially with the additions of Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein, because one of their big problems was lack of size last year. And I think they've been able to address that. And also their defense is going to be nasty.
Yeah.
Like you get Caruso, SGA, Lou Dort. Like you got Chet Holmgren at the rim. Like this is a nasty defensive team. I think it's going to really give teams a hard time scoring wise, defensively. Um, Denver is interesting. I think they'll still be, of course, a top 4 seed, but I wouldn't be shocked if they slip to 4 or 5 this year because of the loss of KCP. You're, really counting on Christian Brown, excuse me, even though it says Brown.
Right. His mama called him Braun. His mama called him Brown.
Right. It's crazy. Like, you're just gonna pronounce it Brown, okay? So with Christian, you're expecting him to step up a lot. You're expecting maybe a young player like a Julian Strother to take up a big step and come in. And I really liked him come out of college, so I think I could see him having a bigger role this year for them. But you're expecting a lot of young players with the loss of KCP and just the lack of depth now that Denver has. You're really asking Jokic and Jamal Murray. We haven't seen him play good in a while. Yeah, we're kind of like, okay, Jamal, we need you to show us something. The Olympics didn't look good. You were kind of off and on in the playoffs. We need you to show us, that old Jamal is still there. So you have them there. Dallas, I think, will definitely, regular season-wise, I think will take a step forward because of the confidence of making it to the finals last year. I think they'll take a step forward come playoff, just as far as their seeding in the top 4. And another team I could see, Minnesota, I see still being up there. I think that with Julius Randle, it'll be a different style, but I still think they'll be just as effective. Now, we talked about it on my show. I really like when they're going to have Naz Reid at center along with Julius Randle. Yeah. I think that's going to be a really good lineup. And, Ant's going to make it work regardless, but I really think those lineups with Naz Reid at center are going to be really, really good for that team. Yep. And you're going to see them really shine there. So my top 4 will be OKC, Minnesota, Dallas, Denver. Be my top 4.
I agree. I think with Denver, Jokic, best player in the league. Sorry, James, best player in the league. Had to say,
it's not the case, man.
Yeah, but Jokic, the best player in the league, 3-time MVP, just does his thing. But no, for real. But he, with the team that he has around him now, he's gonna have to do a lot. Like, I mean, their depth they don't have. They just don't have the depth anymore. They did. Losing KCP, it was big. Now Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., and he said it just depends on what Jamal Murray you're going to get. Now, if you get the Jamal Murray from the finals, okay, that's a different story. But we haven't really seen that consistency with Murray with the injuries. Now, a lot of the people that we listen to and stuff were saying that was he out of shape when he was in the Olympics? Possible. It is possible. And you get that he had a weird year. It's almost like he was frustrated, and then was coming back from injury, and then he was doing some things. It's like, okay, you got to get that Murray running. So Jokic needs that. He needs that second guy to really, because he could do everything, but he can't just. You have to have him average like 40 and 20 just for them to be there. But I just don't. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what about Denver. But you're right. I think with OKC, their depth, man. I mean, they from top to bottom defensively, they can score. SGA could be the MVP. He probably could have been the MVP this past season too. So he's gonna have that chip on his shoulder. And then they got length. I mean, James was just talking about this teams with length and size. OKC has that with speed and defense, and they can do a little bit of everything. And they still got draft picks. They can still make moves if they need to. So I really like OKC. I like Dallas though a lot. Getting Klay Thompson. Now, what Klay you're going to get, we'll see. Maybe he's much happier. I know he's dealing with some injuries again still, so you got to keep him healthy. But they got size, and Kyrie just seems like he bought into this. He bought into the culture. He bought into the system. He saw the difference and why they made the playoffs or why they made the finals. Because I think that dynamic of him and Luka really played off of each other, and I think Luka still has another level. So I do like Dallas. Minnesota, you talked about with Naz Reid, Julius Randle. I wasn't a big fan when we were talking about this game. Wasn't a big fan of Randle going there because of the tendencies of him being a black hole, just having that ball. He still has those tendencies, but you gotta let it's. I don't know. I gotta see how that dynamic's gonna work. But with Naz Reid, they'll take Rudy Gobert they'll take him off the floor in certain matchups. So I can see that working. as well. But Anthony Edwards is the man of that team, so I just hope that chemistry with him and Randall actually works. Because Cat actually took a step back and said, "Yeah, this is Anthony Edwards' team." But James, what do you think of the top four? Anybody that you would put over those four teams, or do you think that's the top four?
Nope. I'm probably gonna move Denver out. I think what you said was true. They're gonna rely heavily on Jokic, and this is why I don't think he's the best player in the league. He cannot give you 40 and 20 consistently a night. That you're asking him to do something that is way outside of his game. Now he can score and he can put those numbers up, but what he does best as far as being able to facilitate and move that ball, that's what makes him the player that he is.
Yeah.
And if you're looking to dump the ball into him and ask him to give you buckets, that's not him. And if you're looking to have to go through him for offense, like aggressive scoring offense, that's not him. You need Jamal Murray to put the ball in the hole. You need Michael Porter Jr., who I love, to step up and take some of that scoring weight off of him. But you can't ask anybody else on that roster to do that.
Right.
And you're not even going to get a lot of that in bits and pieces from the players that they have left right now. I do think the young fella Strothers, I think I think that's his name, right? I think he is the one player who can give you buckets off the bench, but they don't really have enough as far as depth to be able to make up for some of the pieces that they lost and what they could do on both sides of the ball. I think I put in Phoenix just because I think they're going to figure out how to play off of each other and where to go. I think KD is just going to say, look, just give me the ball and get out of the way.
Right.
But and everybody else is just going to be like, cool, let me get out of the way. But I also think he and Book, they're going to have something going that is going to make that duo, one of the top duos in the league, and something that teams won't be able to contend with. It's just about Beal stepping up and saying, okay, I'll be the Chris Bosh of this thing. Give me the ball in the corner. I'll knock down these shots. And him hitting the floor 1,000 times is getting old at this point. It's just getting hurt every 10 seconds. And he's always on the ground. And it's just like, hey, let me just knock these shots down. You guys do what you do. I'll score with the second unit. And we'll be fine. And if they can get anything out of Trae to just run the show and facilitate the offense into that 2-3, 2-4 pick and roll with Book and KD, they're gonna be a handful to deal with.
Yeah.
I like OKC. I think the Hartenstein injury hurts them right now, but I think ultimately because they really had that massive big who could take on what Chet couldn't. And you put them on the floor together, and that's too much to deal with. Feisty defense from Hartenstein. You got pure length and shot blocking from Holmgren, and then you got Caruso. You got Shea. You got Dort. It's too much, man. OKC is built to do damage in the regular season. But I like Dallas overall, and I do like Minnesota. But I'm like you, Court. Give them 5, 10, 15 games. Let's see what Ant and Julius look like.
Yeah.
But I do believe that what you said, Damian, is going to be a lot of France with Rudy Gobert. He's not going to play much. Yeah. And I expect him to be traded at some point in the season because they're going to have to go with Naz Reid because he can hit the three. He'll do what Julius can't do. Yeah. Julius gets the ball, it's just going up. Forget it. Get out the way. But you go P&R with Ant and Naz Reid, that's Ant and Cat, and that's what made them special.
Yeah.
Cat can hit that long ball. Naz Reid can hit that long ball, and he's versatile off the dribble. So he can do a lot of different things. And that's what's going to put Rudy on the bench. Not only on the offensive side, but of course the defensive side, he can defend much better up top than Rudy, but Rudy is a hell of a defender everywhere else. But I expect that if Rudy doesn't play much, he's going to get upset and he's going to look for a trade. So that's something that I'm looking for. So I'm looking at OKC, Minnesota, Dallas, and Phoenix to be my top four.
Probably a good point with Phoenix. They got a now before they was like, well, we don't need a point guard. And they did. I mean, yes, Booker can play it, and Booker showed that he can handle that, but that took away from his strengths, shooting, creating, and
Yeah.
things like that. Now you got Tyus Jones. Now,
Yeah.
I love that pick. I don't know how they got him, but they end up getting him. Was able
Yep.
to get him with, especially being so top heavy, and then getting
Yep.
now you got a point guard that can distribute and really and Mike Budenholzer. I think him taking that time off now he's in because Frank Vogel's a really good coach. It just was I think it was just not a good mix. Just wasn't a good fit for
That's
that. It's
the
like, oh, we
thing
got to play
that
these. Yeah.
worries me about Phoenix is that
Mhm.
with Frank Vogel, we know his defensive prowess. The
Right.
fact that defensively they still weren't there. What's going to happen with Budenholzer? Budenholzer had good defenses, but he also had Giannis. And
True.
that's a big part of
True.
having really good defenses, having someone like Giannis in his prime,
True.
winning
Right.
Defensive Player of the Year, and also having Brook Lopez, who was a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. So now with this team defensively, that's the thing I worry about. Offensively, Jameis is right. They're going to be nasty offensively. And that's what we expected. And we saw it at times last year. They were nasty offensively at times. The thing that worries me is defensively against other teams. The nights where KD's a little off or Devin Booker's not really making the shots that night. What's going to happen those nights? That's what really worries me about Phoenix. But they definitely have potential to be a top 4 seed for sure.
For sure. And I like you said, getting Tyus Jones, Monte Morris,
Monte
Royce
Morris.
O'Neal,
Yeah.
and Nurkic and Mason Plumlee. So Phoenix addressed their bench as well. And
Yeah.
Budenholzer now he wants them to shoot a lot of threes. He said, forget all the mid range because they got 3 of the best mid range shooters probably we've ever seen so with Beal and KD and Booker. But now he's saying you guys are good enough shooters. I want y'all to shoot threes. I mean, he's got even Nurkic shooting threes in preseason. Now I don't know if he's gonna do that in the regular season, but at least he wants them to shoot threes. And James, you brought up a good point with Minnesota too. I do want to see. They said that Randall Anthony Edwards combination. The one thing I know Randall does do well, he can create. And I think with Minnesota, they didn't have enough guys that could actually create. Besides Mike Conley and Anthony Edwards, now you got Randall who can handle the ball, create for himself most of the time. But at
He's
least
an underrated passer for sure.
Yeah, he is, and that actually helps. I think them in the playoffs. I think that's what when they ran to Dallas. Dallas was like, okay, we'll just load up on Anthony Edwards, make him just do everything. I think Mike Conley just ran out of gas. It's just, I mean, he's an older player, and he played his butt off for real, and you still got Conley, but they didn't have enough creators. I think having Randall as a creator, I think that would help Minnesota. So they'll totally be really. I think they'll be really good too. But let's talk about, as we talked about, there's this, at least in the West, the 6 through, if you say those are the top 5, 6 through 11, 6 through 12 could actually make the playoffs as well, or 7 through 12. Any teams you guys actually feel like will be the next 3? It could be, it just said you still got the Lakers. We ain't even touched on them yet, which are, this is, I'm telling you, it's not ESPN. We're not going to just talk Lakers and Cowboys and all this stuff, because the Lakers are not, you're getting JJ Redick, and we'll get into them in a minute, but Clippers, they're going to take a huge step back. It's the James Harden show now, and that's not. That's
up in 2024 being a James Harden.
Yeah. Different year.
Yeah,
6 years ago, okay.
Yeah,
but
Houston Harden, maybe. But this is a disaster waiting to happen. I'm hard by thinking, oh, Kawhi, okay, I mean, you're hurt. Okay, this is my team now. I'm gonna shoot 30 times a game, and we'll lose probably every single game. And they got new stadium.
Nobody wants those problems.
No, I want those problems at all. Good as Ty Lue's the coach, he don't want those problems either.
No.
But you got Sacramento. Let's talk about Memphis first. They're an interesting team. Getting Ja back. I mean, 3 years ago, Ja was on the verge of probably being the face of the league, at least close to it. And now he's back. He's healthy. Can he be the old Ja? We'll see. With off the court issues that he had too. But James, let's start with you. Anybody from that 6 through 11 or 12 that you could feel like could actually contend? And what do you think of Memphis? Which, by the way, I'm loving what I'm seeing from Zach Edey too right now. So even though it's only preseason, but man, that size, man, you just can't teach size. As they always say, can't teach size. But what do you think of Memphis and the rest of the 6 through 12?
I like Memphis. I think they're backup big away from being one of those top teams. I just don't.
Right.
Zach Edey's huge, but I
Yeah.
think that they're still missing a little bit in the way of size. Brandon Clark, I love his game. Is he going to be healthy? Is he going to be ready to go? I like him and what he can do at the 4 position. But they're pretty small when you look at their roster. They don't have a lot in the way of bigs that can bang. And I think the league is starting to shift, and you're starting to see more of that traditional lineup, or at least a good size, maybe 2 fours who could interchange as 4 or 5. I think the league is starting to shift back into that. Size does matter no matter what the NBA tried to say a few years ago, and going small, you're always going to need some bigs. That's what made Dallas who they were when they got PJ Washington and Gafford. Those are the perfect pickups for them. They needed size.
Yeah,
And
Boston too.
Boston needed size. And
Al
getting
Horford, yeah.
Porzingis.
Yep.
And so I think that's the thing with them and with your team, with your home squad, New Orleans. I love New Orleans, but they don't have the size. I want to go with New Orleans. I want to go with New Orleans as a dark horse. I went with them last year as a dark horse. I felt like that they could be it. They just couldn't quite figure it out. But I think DeJounte Murray was a good pickup for them. I think somebody's got to come off the bench, and I don't know how that's going to work, because you don't want DeJounte, CJ, and then you're going BI, you're going, Zion, and you're going Herb Jones. Like, what are you really doing with this lineup without a big? But I like them. But the team that I really like at the bottom is Sacramento. I think, like we said, they didn't sneak up on anybody, and they didn't make the playoffs last year. I think they're the type of team that says that doesn't sit well with us. I think Fox and Sabo, they're like, nah, we're way better than most of these other squads. And I do think that they're built to do some winning right now. And I like the fact that they got DeRozan. I don't know if I love the fit for them overall defensively, because I just think that's the side of the ball where they need to really lock in. But I like what they present. So if I'm looking at the bottom, I'm looking at Sacramento, New Orleans, and Memphis, and there's flaws on each side. But if they can make a move, or if they can find if Memphis or New Orleans can find the right size, they're going to be really complicated to deal with overall. They might sneak into that top 4. And Sacramento, if they can get anything on defensive side where they can lock in on that side of the ball, they'll be a definite play-in team that gives some teams some fits.
Yeah, I like the DeRozan on Sacramento, because you replace Harrison Barnes with DeRozan, which is I think is a big upgrade for them. And you said they're going to run fast, and now you can rely on DeRozan now to be the guy. We know how good he is in the clutch, so he can be a guy that can actually just take pressure off and be the guy that they can go to and say, okay, we need buckets now, so let's go to DeRozan, and he could give you 6, 8, 10 points in that fourth quarter. And now they have a guy like that. So I do like that Sacramento. With Memphis, I like I said, I'm loving. I like Edey in college. I like him at Purdue, and I know when people are thinking, "Oh, will he be able to translate into the league?" The size does matter, and it still matters in the league. When you get a big, that yes, he won't be able to run up and down all the time, but he's big, 7'4" and 300 pounds. So now he's shooting threes too. If he gets that in his game, I do like what they're doing. And if they're healthy with Bane and Ja and Jackson, I mean, he just got to stay healthy. Triple J's got to stay healthy too. I mean, that's another guy. He brings size. He's 6'10". And with him and Edey, that's a big lineup.
Huge.
That's a huge lineup. 7'4", 6'10". That's a huge lineup. So, Dame, I'll let you talk about the Pelicans, but I agree with James about their size is what scares me, because if you're going to have Zion at center, it can work, but it's not going to work for a full for all 82 games. And we know, even though Zion's in probably the best shape of his career, and I love what he's trying to like, okay, I want to be healthy. I want to make the playoffs. I mean, he played 70 plus games last year, so he was healthy most of the season, just till the end. But it's just their size. That's what scares me with it. with the Pelicans. But who do you think? Who do you think is the teams out of those bottom, some of those bottom teams, and then we'll talk of Warriors and Lakers, which we haven't even mentioned, which is interesting. how what the mighty have fallen. But what do you think of those few teams that can actually maybe contend?
Yeah, I definitely like Memphis a lot because if healthy, that's a really good versatile team. I like how they can dump it into Edie at times. Like if there's a matchup where they're playing against a team like New Orleans, who may not have a big in the game, they can just dump it into Edie and let him go to work.
Yeah.
So I think that versatility of having that. I like John Morant as like a dark horse MVP candidate because if that team can mess around and sneak in that top four, and it's a great story. And people forget about that sometimes with the voting, the story sometimes can take over. And I think that him being able to come back and have another great season, lead his team to a top 4 seed, could really lead him to maybe surprising people and get some MVP votes. So I like Memphis if they can stay healthy. For New Orleans, I think that there's been a lot of, I say like smoke and mirrors out there about the starting lineup with the with New Orleans. I do not see us putting Herb Jones at center. Like I understand that was reported. That takes away from what makes Herb great. He's an amazing perimeter defender.
Yeah.
He can guard at the rim, but that's from help. You don't want him having to be down there trying to wrestle with Nikola Jokic. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So what I think is going to happen, like James mentioned, that somebody who is used to starting has to come off the bench. I think that somebody's going to be CJ McCollum.
I do too.
Because DeJounte Murray gets to be a point guard again. I think people forget how good he is at being a point guard because you didn't see it the last 2 years in Atlanta. But the last time he was a true point guard, he averaged over 9 assists a game in San Antonio. So I think you're going to get to see him be a true point guard. You're going to see CJ McCollum. He's my pick for 6th man of the year. He's still a starting quality player. And if he is coming off the bench, he's somebody who can get you 17 to 20 points off the bench because he's still so productive. And now he's going to get second units. I think he's going to, like him and Trey Murphy as the 1-2 punch off the bench is crazy to have as far as your depth. A lot of teams can't say that they have those two players who are starting quality as their first 2 bench guys. I think that we're going to start a year with Daniel Tice at center, but eventually the rookie we got from Baylor, Yves Messi, I think eventually he's going to be the starter. I think right now, just because it's the beginning of the year, he's a rookie, they're going to start Daniel Tice, but I've loved what I've seen from the rookie from Baylor to start the year, especially defensively. There's been times where there's been switches and he's been able to move his feet and stay in front of guards. I'm like, oh, okay, this is what we wanted to see. The only reason I think that Tice is going to start is because his floor, the rookie can't really shoot yet. Or if ever going to be a part of his game. So at Tice, he can shoot, 37% from 3. You have to respect it out there. He has all the space in the world for Zion to work because everybody on the court can shoot around him. So I think that's going to be the main thing you see with them this year. And you mentioned Zion looking like he's in great shape to start the season. I think that's major. He doesn't have to work his way into shape. And I knew it was going to be different this year. People are going to laugh when I say this. But when I saw Zion with a full beard, I was like,
he going the Vince Carter route when he was on the Olympic team with the full beard. It's like, okay, this means business.
I saw the full. I was like, okay, because as we know as men, you gotta be patient to grow the full beard. It takes patience to do it.
Yeah,
you gotta take care of it. You gotta brush it. You gotta put oil in it. All this different stuff, and that takes patience and it takes maturing to be able to do it. Because even myself now in my 30s, I still don't want to take the time to grow a full beard. I don't feel like doing it. I'm like, man, let me just shave this off. Now I'm good to go. I don't feel like brushing it and putting oil in and doing all that stuff. The fact that he's doing that along with all of that stuff is like, okay, I see something here. I see something here. And I think Zion's going to take a major leap this year, especially rebounding. That's been a big criticism of him, is rebounding the basketball. And I think this year, without that big-time center like a Jonas Valanciunas or a Steven Adams playing next to him, he's going to get more rebounds. And I can see New Orleans get into that 5 or 6 spot because of it. But watch out for the rookie from Baylor. I would say I give it maybe a month or 2 before he's starting. Like, I think I see that type of potential in him as far as defensively. And offensively, I like what I've seen from him as far as knowing when to roll to the basket, being able to – he got hops for his size too. So he's going to be somebody who's a lob threat who really helps out when the minutes that Zion's not in, having somebody who can roll to the basket, play with B.I., play with C.J. and all those things. So I think New Orleans is in a good shape as far as talent-wise. And if that rookie can really play, we're going to have the size as well. So I can see us being a top 6 seed, but I like Memphis. As far as other bottom teams, a team that we have not mentioned yet that could sneak into that bottom 4, San Antonio Spurs.
San Antonio. We think alike.
Yes.
Think alike.
The San Antonio Spurs, man. 'Cause
Exactly.
we know Wemby is set to take another leap,
Yes.
especially when we saw in the Olympics. He's set
Yes.
to take another leap. Chris Paul being a veteran on that team. Harrison Barnes.
Yeah.
Keldon Johnson's one of my dark horses for Sixth Man of the Year. I like what he does off the bench. Like, they have a lot of talent there. And now that you're adding those veterans to go along with Wemby, who, you know, second year, usually we see a big leap from rookie to second year. I can see San Antonio sneaking in and being, you know, 7-8 going into the play-in and making the playoffs.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Can I agree 100% with that. That was, once you got to the bottom, that's exactly where I was going. I think that they have a great mix of young and vet, and Wemby is different. He is the kind of, he took the Olympics personal. And he stepped out on that stage and he believed he was the best player out there with all of the players they played against. And he took every single second of the Olympics personal. And I think you could see the growth from the end of the season to the beginning of the Olympics in his game. You could see his strength. That NBA strength came along in the Olympics, where it's more physical. He wasn't getting bodied and pushed around and moved easily. He's still getting to the basket in one dribble and up. He's still knocking down shots. The footwork is cleaner. The ball handle is cleaner. The defense is stronger. And I do think that with Chris Paul and the IQ and what it is that he's learning and taking in from a Chris Paul, from a Barnes, is going to take him to another level because he's a sponge. He wants to be great. He wants to be the best player in the league and ever. And I think that he has the mindset to do just that. And I think that gives them the star that they need, that Pop needs to take everybody else and say, let's go. I'm going to jump on Wemby's back. We're going to scream at him. I'm going to yell at him. He's going to do everything the right way. All you guys better follow suit, and we're going to go and we're going to make a playoff push. I 100% agree with you, Damian. That team is poised for an 8-7 seed to win in that play-in and get at the bottom of the playoffs this year.
And they're going to be a team that first seed or second seed is going to be like, yo, we got to play them.
We got to play them. Wemby and Chris Paul? No way.
And you're right with Wemby. I was just listening to something, and they said that the second half of the year, he averaged like 28, like 12 boards, 5 blocks. So, yeah, he got really comfortable. And you're right. He did say after that Olympics, and again, with the Olympics, that last game, it took a outworldly Steph Curry shooting display and LeBron leading the way. It took that type of the veterans and KD and Booker. It took those guys to really push it. And then, like I said, Curry just went on one of his Curry flurries that we've seen all his career. That he went Chef Curry on them. That was the reason why they really won. But Wemby felt like he was the best player, and he said, "I'm taking this personal. You're gonna see." And they asked him, "Well, we talking about this game or the regular season?" He said, "Oh, both the regular season and the Olympics." So he took that. He did take that personal. I think they're a year away. I still feel like they're still a year away, but I agree with both of you. I think he's going to. I mean, he was second defensive player of the year. He'll probably get that because he loves playing D. He's like you said. He's on another level when it comes to. We haven't seen a guy with that type of skill set, that size, and that skill set. And can play defense too, and can move like that. And I mean, he has 21, 10, and 4 assists last year on top of the blocks. So he'll just get better. Now, again, like I said, getting Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes, I think now that just really helps them getting to a couple of veterans on a young team to stuff. And Popovich's still Popovich. He's one of the greatest, if not the greatest coach of all time when it comes to this. So he can. Yeah, San Antonio's going to be a problem. You know, a team that I do like, we'll get into the Warriors and Lakers in a minute, but a team I really like is the Houston Rockets too. That's another team which I feel like they were 500 last year. Now with all that talent they got, it's all just gelling and putting it all together. I can see them actually maybe getting that 7th or 8th seed too. What do you guys think of the Houston Rockets? What do you think, James, of Houston?
Yeah, no, I like Houston. I think Jalen Green is going to be most improved. I think seeing what he's been doing, and it's efficient. I think that was the
Right.
thing that was missing. He was kind of just taking young man shots. I think he's
Mm.
playing basketball at a different level right now. Watching in the preseason, he's able to get to his spots. And
Yeah.
I talking to my daughter right now and training and talking to her about, now you're good enough. Let's not waste dribbles. Let's not do a lot
Yeah.
of the extra, flashy stuff. Let's just get to your spot and get by people. Let's use your speed. That's what he's doing. When you watch him, he's so much faster, so much more athletic
Yeah.
than most of the people out there. I look at him and I see him as a next level Zach LaVine, right? He's just has that kind of ability where he can do it at three levels. He's got the speed. He can shoot the ball. He's like I said, watching. He's more efficient. And they were having fun. That young group was having fun playing
Yeah.
basketball last year, and they just were young. They were making young team mistakes. They took plays off, took defensive plays off, did some things that says, you're a 40-win team at best. That's about it. But that 40-win was really they maxed out. But I
Yeah.
think this year they have another level. And I think some of those players have taken it seriously and thought we were pretty good. Seeing that we didn't give it. I don't know if they gave it 100%. I think now they're believing in their abilities and thinking, let's see what we really can do out there on the floor.
Yeah.
I like Houston.
And a much flag as Dylan Brooks and all the tough guy stuff that he did. He fit right in with them. He brought some physical,
Yeah.
and what he is when he's not doing all his things, the shenanigans, thinking he's the best player in the world. He just go out and play defense and all the things and what he usually does. And then Van Vliet too, another veteran, a champion
Yeah.
actually, and he brought the veteran as a point guard to that team. I mean, yeah, they're that young group: Jalen Green, Jabari Smith, uh,
Sangoon,
Sengun, and
one
yeah,
of my
they
favorite players.
yes, and now you got Reese Shepard. I mean, yeah, I like Houston a lot, and they added Steven Adams for depth and rotation. Um, yeah, Houston could be a problem. Before I get to you, Damon, I want to ask you about Brandon Ingram, and you talk about the Pelicans and everything. Do you feel like does he get traded because in this off season, it seemed like nobody wanted him, but now we talk about guys like Zach LaVine, seemed like nobody wanted him, and Brandon Ingram he seems like he falls into that category, so he'll have a big year, be a trade chip. What do you think of Brandon Ingram, and then we think of Houston as well?
With Brandon Ingram, it's definitely a possibility.
Mhm.
It's tough because, of course, we know he's a good player. I think he's maybe the most underrated player in the league. When you think about his ability to score on all three levels, his playmaking ability to rebound as well. Defensively, he's like average. I wish he was a little better defensively, but offensively, he could do it all. And I think that he got hurt last year, and then he played bad against Lou Dort, and that really kind of put a sour taste in people's mouths.
Mm.
And Lou Dort was getting away with a lot in the playoffs as well. Like they were letting more physicality go, and with a defender like Lou Dort, it's going to put you in hell going against somebody like that.
Yeah.
So I think that Brandon Ingram is going to prove a lot this year. And if the chemistry is working, I hope they don't trade him. But I can see them maybe saying, okay, we have a chance to get a big man that's out there. Because when Cat got traded, I was like, oh man, if they got Cat for Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo, maybe we could have got him for Brandon Ingram and another piece. But I don't know what other big man is out there that's a trade chip right now that we could get for Brandon Ingram that's worth trading away Brandon Ingram. But again, if that center from Baylor works out, or if Daniel Tice just being a little smaller at center works out, then you have so much talent there with DeJounte, with Brandon Ingram, with Herb Jones, with Zion. And some people may say that's too many, that's too many scores, especially when you add CJ to the mix. But I don't think you could ever have too many people who can put the ball in the basket. And it's something that hopefully they get it worked out and Brandon Ingram can stay. But it's also a business where like they already got Zion on a big contract. You're going to have to extend Trey Murphy pretty soon because Trey Murphy is somebody who is a starting quality, wing in this league. So it's going to be a tough decision to make. But we're going to have to see how it plays out. But I also have to see what other teams have available to be traded that's worth for Brandon Ingram as well. And for Houston, I love what you said about Houston. Totally agree. I think that they are definitely a threat. I wouldn't be shocked if we see 7-8 is that matchup is San Antonio versus Houston in the play-in for that 7th spot. And then you have someone like Sacramento right there, or the Lakers and Golden State. Like one of those teams that we expect, like Sacramento, Lakers, and Golden State, one of those California teams is not going to be in it. Like, we got to say, like, one of those teams is not going to be in the play-in, let alone the playoffs, because this Western Conference is that deep. So it's something that I like Houston a lot. I feel like they ran out of gas last year. Remember they made that run where they made everybody nervous?
Yep.
And just ran out of gas. I think this year they're gonna have a better start, so they don't have to put so much towards the end, and you might see them be one of those playoff teams.
Yeah, and they played. It's funny, they played better when Sagoon was out. And that's the thing. And now he's coming in.
Start take those next
Jalen Green
steps.
took over. Yep.
Mentioned, and now we're going to see it even more.
Put them together. Yeah, let's see if they have those pieces put together. They're going to have to probably make some moves because they got a lot of players. But then again, they could just be like OKC, and they just got to have a pecking order of like, okay, this is how it's gonna go. But man, Houston's gonna be. I think they could be dangerous, especially if they put it all together. All right, let's go. Let's get into a little Golden State and Lakers.
Really?
We feel like none of these two teams, neither one of these teams feel like they're gonna make the play-in, but somehow they're probably gonna be in the mix. They're just a respect of Curry and LeBron and AD. That one of them or both will probably be in the play-in, which we each and every year, but neither one of them really did a lot. I mean, they made Golden State. I think they got a little bit of depth, but they wanted to get somebody like Lauri Markkanen. They didn't get. They lose Klay Thompson.
Earlier, Jameis was talking about size. Talk about small. Golden
State. With Draymond at center.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Like, I mean, come on. I mean, this guy can't play center no more, and he never really could.
Never could.
You know what I mean? So he should be the playmaking four like he's always been, but they don't really have a lot of size. But do you think do you feel like one of these two teams could actually make the playoffs? It seemed like the Lakers somehow they had a lot of good help. LeBron and AD both played 70+ games. LeBron had a career three. They shot over 40% from the three. Yeah. I don't know if we're gonna see that again. I don't know. They want they got JJ Redick at coach. He wants more threes. They're not that good of a 3-point shooting team, so I don't know how that's gonna work. James, do you think one of these two teams could actually get an 8 seed or a 7 seed? And which one?
Oh, an 8th. I think that the Lakers have a shot to be in the play-in. I think that the Lakers are probably the better of the two. Put together again, all things being equal and injuries being with injuries withstanding, then I would probably go with the Lakers as being the better group. I think that they have the size. I think that JJ, his offense and what he's going to have them do on that side of the floor will be enough. I don't think Golden State has enough. I just don't think they have what it takes. Now, the possibility of Kuminga coming into himself, Moody maybe stepping into becoming a better basketball player, showcasing his true skills on both sides of the floor. I think that that's possible, but you're not relying on Draymond. Those days, and I've been saying it for the past few years, I've been meaning it. You rely on Draymond, your season is over. And he's not that guy. He hasn't been that guy since the 1 year he was considered decent in my eyes. He was considered pretty good. He effective. It's always dropped. Once he was put into the position to have to try to lead this team, his game was exposed. And I don't think it only has dropped from there. I don't see where they're going to get anything more from anyone else other than Steph. And that's a problem. And again, they just don't have size. And to battle in the West where there's length and there's size all over the place. They
Mhm.
are completely void of that. At least New Orleans is, like you said, Tice is going to battle. Zion is muscle unmatched, and if the young kid comes out and plays like you said, Damian, then at least there's something there. You're not really seeing much of that in Golden State. So if I had to go with one, I'll go with the Lakers. LeBron is, again, they got to rely on him. Maybe if AD stays healthy, the Lakers are the better of the two. But I do think that there's other teams that have leapfrogged both of those teams.
Yeah, I agree. And I think with Golden State, as you said, you're relying on Curry. Yes. Can he carry your team? Yes. But that's a lot for a 36-year-old Steph Curry. He's gonna have moments, of course. You're gonna think like they're gonna get games where you're thinking, wow, okay, the Warriors might actually have something. But you're right. I do like the pieces that I did like getting Buddy Hield, Kyle Anderson, DeAnthony Melton for losing someone like Clay. You bring those type of guys, but their lack of size is what's going to hurt them. You said against those big teams, against Denver, against OKC, against Dallas, yeah, against those teams where they're going to say, okay, Looney, what can you do? Looney couldn't even run up and down the floor much anymore. So you can't
Yeah.
rely on Looney,
No.
So, yes, I do like Kaminga. I like Kaminga a lot. But Steve Kerr, it seemed like he's in a weird, I don't know what it is. There's just something about his coaching now the last couple of years. Almost like he relied heavily on the veterans, which he thought we can make another run, make another run. And then the Olympics, it was the weird coaching again, with that whole thing with Tatum and everything too. It's just I don't know. Maybe he's lost his touch, and then with Wiggins now too, he's dealt with a lot of different off the court things too. We just don't know uh, where he's at with that too. So yeah, I think Kerr sometimes like his coaching. He was in the beginning of last season. He was relying on the young guys, and then he put them all in the doghouse. It's like you didn't even let this ride out a little bit. And I think that's where Clay was getting frustrated. You saw it with Draymond, of course. You saw that with him, and now I think Curry's now going to be like, man, yeah, I'm staying loyal and all this, but I gotta be MVP Steph, and I don't. I think with him being the 36-year-old that he is, I don't think it's not enough. So yeah, if anybody thinks the Lakers could actually from these two teams, what do you think, David? You think out of those two teams, Golden State and the Lakers, who could actually maybe make the playoffs?
It would have to be the Lakers out of those two for sure. I
Mhm.
think the lack of size for Golden State is really going to hurt them at times. There's going to be times where you see the rebounding stats. You like, really? That's an NBA game with that big of a player?
They got 25 rebounds as a team.
Yeah.
Sure.
There's going to be games where they like Wimby's going to get like 20 rebounds against them because of the lack of
Mhm.
size. Somebody like Zach
Yeah.
Edey's going to have a career night where he has 20 rebounds because he's playing against those guys, and it's going to make a huge difference in the game. With the Lakers, they have talent. You know that LeBron and AD are still two of the best players in the league, and I love the rookie, the one that's not being talked about, Dalton Connect.
Connect four.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had 35 last night, right?
Yeah, like he can
Yeah.
definitely stroke it. He can shoot it. I can see him getting a lot of time because of
Mhm.
that. And the thing is with them, early on in the year at least, they're going to be like a sideshow because it's going to be all about Bronny and LeBron playing together, and they're going to have the moment where Bronny throws an alley to Bron or something like that happens. I feel like once that moment happens, they're going to send Bronny down to G League.
Off to the G League. Yeah.
There you go. You did your part.
See ya.
They're going to have that moment they could put in the documentary.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that's going to be it. And they're going to send him down to the G League because it's been ugly in the preseason. I want him to succeed, of course, but it's definitely it's kind of hard to hide the nepotism when he's playing that bad. And so you gotta be like, okay, let's get past that part. And I don't know if it's going to affect that team chemistry. We haven't seen or heard anything when it comes to that part of it. But they have talent there enough to make the playoffs and maybe spoil our prediction of Houston and San Antonio that they could be one of the teams.
Yeah.
I don't see Golden State being able to do that. I can see Golden State being the team that's out. Like I can see Sacramento outplaying Golden State and being one of the teams to play in where Golden State doesn't get in. So I think that's one of the teams that you have to look out for. And I feel like there's maybe another team that we even missed when you talk about how deep the Western Conference is with so many different teams.
Utah.
Utah, I don't think they're. Yeah, they don't.
They're not going
They're
to.
not. Portland's gonna be one of the worst teams.
Portland's going to be one of the worst.
I think we named every team, and we just didn't talk much about the Clippers because there's not much to talk about. It's the James Harden show now with Kawhi. I think we named all 13, 15 teams. So yeah, I think we nailed it all. We said San Antonio, what we felt about them, and Houston. Yeah, I think we got all. Sacramento, we got them all. So yeah, it looks like we nailed the West. It's like I said, it's like 12, 13 teams that actually has a legitimate shot. At least 10, 11 or 12 teams have a legitimate shot to actually contend. And you said Bronny and LeBron. The whole thing, like I said, father son. I think that's great. But the way that got to me was that it was the way it was handled. The way, I mean, if it was anybody else, some of the averages just 4 or 5 points in college would not be, would be a top 50, would be a second round pick at all. But he is LeBron James' son. Yes, the story is. I love the story. I do love the story, but Bronny's not ready. He's not, and you can see it. And teams are going to attack him. Like you said, it's going to be a sideshow. They're going to be 20 games in. He might not even play at all. And then the fans are going to get restless and say, bring Bronny in. It was like, okay, do you guys want to win? Or do you guys just want to, okay, we're just going to rebuild and that's it. So, yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a sideshow with.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a moment they're going to be playing against somebody like the Washington Wizards, somebody like that. And then they're going to have, the Bron moment that, and this, like, it's a dope thing to see. Especially, father-son in basketball, which we never thought we would see that in basketball because it's a sport where you're not meant to play long enough to play with your son. Even if you have your son at a young age, it's not meant for you to play that long. And for this to happen is definitely dope. But like you said, the only time usually when you get a player in college who played, it wasn't Bronny's fault. Of course, he went through a traumatic experience with the cardiac arrest. But he only played in a few games, and in those few games, he didn't really show an NBA player. He didn't show that. In high school, he was a good high school player, but he didn't show this
McDonald's All-American. Even he didn't show any of that.
He didn't show that this is like a one and done type of situation. So now that he's got this chance, it's like, I understand that a lot of people's argument is that, it's just a 55th overall pick. Normally those guys aren't successful anyway, right? You only know like one or two of those guys. Like Patty Mills is like the one that stands out as far as somebody who's like the 55th overall pick. Mm-hmm. It's like basically like a 6 or 7 round pick in the NFL draft. I get that.
Sure.
But you still want to give that opportunity to somebody who deserves it. And usually when you have somebody who played the lack of minutes that he played in college and averaged the lack of points that he did, it's usually somebody who's a high school phenom, and they're like, okay, something wrong in college, and we'll be able to adjust in the NBA. That's not the case with Bronny. With Bronny, it's literally, we got LeBron, and we want to do him a favor and draft his son, which is like, that's tough. That's tough.
It's a legacy. It's a legacy pick.
Yeah.
It's for LeBron's legacy. It's for something he gets to say in the arguments, Jordan, LeBron, that he has. It's again, it's all the sideshow version of this. But I love it for the kid. I think getting to play with your dad as a dad playing with your son is awesome and amazing. There's going to be a point when it's just tiresome. People are going to just want to see the Lakers either, like you said, Cord, they're either going to try to make this push and move on from somebody like Bronny, send him to the G League until he decides to move on, or get ready to blow this whole thing up. LeBron, thank you. God bless you. Good night. Kind of thing. So we did everything we could. Here you go. Let's you guys can move on now. So it's nice, but he's not going to be a factor in the Lakers doing anything. My daughter calls him Connect Four. He'll play a major part, and he'll be the rookie that everybody will be talking about soon enough.
I like that nickname. I like Connect too. I do like that. I do Connect. He said that's a shooter that what Redick was trying to implement in his offense. Like I said, I just didn't like the strong arming that Rich Paul and LeBron did for this, and that was the only issue. I had, because my wife was saying the same thing. She was going off about it, still goes off to this day. Oh, I didn't like this. I love it for him to play with his dad, of course. Yeah, that's the feel good story. And you don't see that often a lot, especially in basketball.
Never.
You had you baseball, you saw it, Bonds, Griffey, you saw those. But basketball, you don't see that. And you said to get opportunity to do that. I just think Rich Paul just making those threats, saying no, because at the time I think it was either Philly and Utah. There was some couple of teams that said they was actually going to pick Bronny. I remember it was the day before. It was the same day, and they come to find out his reports, and they didn't deny it either. They say no, we want him to play with LeBron, and I think if, like I said, with anybody else, this would people would have been on it, but like I said, it's a legacy thing. It's definitely a legacy thing. So
And nepotism can be used a lot of ways. They could have signed him as an undrafted, brought him on, and everything would have been just the same.
Yeah.
There was no pressure on them to have to draft him.
No, because he wouldn't have been drafted. He probably wouldn't have been drafted.
He wouldn't have been drafted.
The James family wanted that moment. They wanted that moment.
Absolutely.
Him his name being called and then being able to record it. And they wanted that. So like you said, they could have easily picked him up as an undrafted free agent.
Yeah.
Because other teams might have talked about picking him, but
I don't know if they would pull the trigger though.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody was actually going to pull the trigger on picking him because again, he didn't show flashes of an NBA player.
Anything,
anywhere, any point in his career, high school, at USC, or even in summer leagues and things like that, he didn't show that he was that there was potential there. Not yet. Give him some time and just kind of take the pressure off of him by letting him kind of just learn and figure this thing out and leave him be. He's already got enough pressure on him being LeBron James Jr.
For real, for sure. Yeah, he got a lot of pressure. You're right. That's the thing too. A lot of pressure, putting that pressure on him to fans want him to succeed now.
Yeah.
And they want that. It's like, oh, this is LeBron James' son. He needs to succeed, and he's playing for LA, the Lakers of all teams. There's a lot of pressure of that, and you can already see he's pressing. He wants to impress. He wants to impress his dad. He wants to be like, I belong here too. But you're right. He'll be a G League, and then he could develop. It's going to take some years, but I just hope they do it the right way and not stunt his growth, because I think that could happen too. You put him out there, you could get really embarrassed with these guys in the league. So
the thing is, you can't sleep on a G League. Like there's a lot of hungry dudes down there.
They'll go right at him.
Like somebody who's in a spot that I deserve.
Yeah. Absolutely.
They're gonna go right at him.
Once he gets down there, you're gonna have to really buckle down as well.
Yeah, he's gonna have to fight.
Because
they're going to be coming at his neck just for the fact that he already took a spot from whoever. Could have been 55, 56, 57. He could have been that one of their guys could have been there. And that's a different animal. It's the reason why D Wade's son wasn't able to do what he was able to do. It's kind of going down that same path. You set the table, but you can't eat for him. And should have just kind of let him figure this out on his own.
Yes, yep, no doubt. Well, I kept you guys really long and knew we were gonna go a couple of hours and everything. But this is I've always enjoyed. I love this time and with you guys. And but I wanted to last one I want to ask. We went through all the who we thought, the predictions and things like that. But let's talk a little MVP, Sixth Man of the Year, real quick, and Rookie of the Year. Damien, I'll start with you. Who you feel like is going to be MVP? Rookie of the Year is Sixth Man of the Year and Most Improved.
So for MVP, I'm going with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's an MVP this year. Very close second last year. I picked him as my MVP last year. I think he'll get it this year. But my dark horse, again, is Ja Morant, just from the story of what that can be and how that could just be a dope story or a comeback story. You said the second one was Sixth Man of the Year?
Sixth Man, yep.
Sixth Man of the Year, I'm going CJ McCollum. If they don't sit him, if they have him starting, then I'm going to go with Keldon Johnson from the Spurs. I think if they make a playoff push, I can see him getting some votes there. So that's my backup. But CJ McCollum, if they do the right thing and have CJ McCollum come off the bench, CJ McCollum should win Sixth Man of the Year. For Rookie of the Year, this draft class, man. I'm gonna go Edey. I'm gonna go Edey for Rookie of the Year. I think he's gonna get a lot of playing time, a lot of rebounds. He's gonna have moments where he has those matchups where he can take advantage and is gonna really stand out. So I'm going to go Edie for Rookie of the Year. Most Improved. I like Jameis's pick of Jalen Green. I like that one a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with a non-conventional pick. I'm going to go Zion, Most Improved Player. Some people may think he's not qualified for that. But my case is I see him going from last year. He didn't make All-Star team, didn't make All-NBA. So I can see him this year being an All-Star, being All-NBA, and going from like maybe 23 points last year to 27, 28, from 5 rebounds to 8 or 9, and expanding his game. You're going to see it in the preseason. He's shooting more mid-range jumpers. Last season, he scored 94% of his baskets at the rim. So I think this year he's going to expand his game out a little bit, show a little more range, and a true improvement. Like not just the stats, but a true improvement of his game on both ends. So Zion is my surprise pick for Most Improved.
I like it. All right, Jameis, you on the clock. What you got? MVP, 6th Man of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Most Improved.
SGA is who I want to go with, but I think I have to go with injuries barred Luka. I think it's his year to get the MVP finally. I look at Dark Horse, Ja. I agree. I think Ja has the potential to really step up and take his game to the next level. He's also my Most Improved player. With that dark horse, kind of even that second dark horse in MVP being Jaylen Brown. I think he has the potential to take his game to a different level, and I think he's shown it. Well, just watching him a little bit, handles gotten better. He's more aggressive, and I think he wants to prove something. So he's a dark horse's dark horse. But I go with Luka. SGA, if I could, I think I'm going to go Luka, and Ja's the dark horse. And Ja is my Most Improved, but I really like Jalen Green as one of those contenders. Rookie of the Year, gosh, I like I watched the kid a lot out of Atlanta, Risa Shane.
Mm-hmm.
I like what he does. I think that him being number one was kind of like, this guy's, this is not it. He's not flashy. But I watched him play 2 or 3 games. I think he'll have the opportunity. Let's put it that way. I think he'll have the chance. I know that he's got, what's his name, Jalen Johnson kind of battling that. But I like what he can do. Keldon Johnson is who I absolutely want to go with 6th Man of the Year, 100%. Just with that roster, what he's going to be able to do. He's a starter in this league with that USA experience and all the things that he gained. He's a good player, and he's a starter, but he's going to come off the bench on that team, and I think he'll do some good numbers. So is that everybody that I'm covered?
I think so. I think
got my MVP, got my So that's where I'm at. And
okay,
I like those guys.
I agree with mostly every pick you guys did. MVP, as I said earlier, I'm going with Luka. I just think he's due, and you know how the NBA is. It's like, okay, Joker won 3, he's got his 3, and Joel Embiid got 1 in between there, and now Embiid, he might not play enough
Should have
games. Another one. We'll argue that on another time. So, but I'm going with Luka. I think SGA definitely he'll be there, but I think a dark horse is Anthony Edwards. I think he could take that next step, especially if Minnesota gets that number 1 seed. And he's already, he's trying to be the face of the league. He's on social media, and he's continuing to prove his game on top of that. And we've seen what he did in the playoffs. I just think I think he ran out of gas too and ran into Dallas, who tried to neutralize him. But I like Luka as my MVP. 6th Man, I agree. I think if CJ McCollum is, if he comes off the bench, I mean, he's a starter. So he's a starter going to be coming off the bench. So he'll just put up numbers and he'll finish games too on that, especially when they go small. So I'm going to go with CJ McCollum. A dark horse, though, I'm picking, and we didn't talk about it. We talk about the lack of depth that Denver does have.
Monta Ellis.
Oh,
I forgot that he was there. To be honest,
Westbrook is if he buys in That this is a big if. He
Yeah.
buys in until this. Now he's like, okay, I want to try to win a championship. This might be my last chance
Wow.
to win a championship. I'm playing with one of the
Yes.
best players in the league.
Yeah.
That will, if Westbrook can get to the point where he can just, okay, if I'm gonna cut to the basket each and every time, not shoot those 30-foot jumpers where they're gonna allow just keep cutting, Joker's gonna find him. So he can get layup after layup after layup. He just runs the floor and do that. So Westbrook is a dark horse for six man of the year. I think most improved. I agree with Jalen Green, but I think Jonathan Kuminga could get most improved if he finds a way to be able to, like, if Steve Kerr plays him the minutes he should, he's probably their second best player behind Steph Curry.
Yeah. No
So
question.
you know what I mean. So, and I don't think they don't have a if they're gonna have a chance to even get 8, 9, or even a play in.
He's
That
got to step
would
up.
to me, yeah, and I do like Kaminga's game. He's one of the guys that's super athletic. He can actually, you know, get to the basket, and he's got to improve his jump shot. So I like Kuminga for most improved. Rookie of the year, I go with Zach Edey because I think he's gonna get the playing time. He's already getting the hype, and like I said, if Memphis is as good as we think they will be, I think Zach Edey's gonna be a huge key to that for them for that success too. So I like Zach Edey. Another six man could be Marcus Smart too. He's another one that from Memphis too for the success that they could do as well. And I don't know if he's going to start. He might start. They might go real small in the backcourt and have the two bigs. They could do that. But I like Smart too. So those will be my picks as well. So I think we covered everything. Any final thoughts on the season that you guys players you like or that we haven't covered? I think we covered just about everybody and everything.
I guess we gotta get the championship prediction.
Oh yeah, for sure. Got to get those finals.
Let
Yeah.
me. I think I had Jalen Green is my most improved player.
Mm.
Ja was my dark horse,
Dark horse
most improved
MVP. Oh,
player
most improved.
for
Okay.
that
Yep.
and dark horse MVP.
Okay.
So
Yep.
Ja's and the multiple. Jalen Green is my most improved player. Yeah.
I like that too. I think John Morant's on this redemption tour, and
Yeah.
he's gonna tell people, okay, it's time for me to show you guys what I was a couple of years ago too. But
Yeah.
all right, James, we'll put you on the spot first. Then, who is your finals prediction?
We going straight finals, or we going Eastern Western Conference
Let's
and
do East
finals?
West and then finals. Yeah, we'll do East West finals.
Eastern Conference Finals. I'm going Celtics, and I'm going Knicks.
Mm.
I'm going Celtics, Knicks in the East, and I'm going in the West. I'm going Minnesota. I'm going Dallas. We're doing it again.
Okay.
I think Dallas is gonna pull this out. I think we're looking at a repeat championship for a little bit of rivalry. We're going Boston, Dallas, with Dallas winning.
Ooh.
Kyrie MVP.
Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. I do.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. I'm gonna pull the trigger on Dallas. Yeah, I'm still thinking. So, Damien, go ahead. You're up next. But I do like that though. Dame, you're up next.
All right. So Eastern Conference, I am gonna go Celtics, Knicks. I like that as well. Western Conference, I'm gonna go. Ooh, West is tough, man. I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
Ooh. I'm gonna go with. Dang. I don't want to go Minnesota Dallas as well, but I am leaning that way because it just seems like the matchups line up like that. But I'm gonna go Minnesota Thunder. I'm gonna go Minnesota OKC Thunder, and I have Minnesota coming out of the West, going against Boston. I have Boston going back to back.
Okay. All
And
right.
this time the MVP will be.
Jason Tatum.
It's gonna be Jason Tatum.
Probably should have been Jason Tatum again, but I'm not gonna. I digress on that. But anyway,
Should have been.
Jalen Brown hooped. Jalen Brown definitely hooped, of course. I mean, and like you said, he's a dark horse, and they got a 1A, 1B on that team.
Yeah.
All right, Eastern Conference. I think we're gonna go 3 for 3. I think it's gonna be Knicks, Boston as well. As much as I did talk a lot about Cleveland. I just think the Knicks got enough, and getting Cat, I thought was a really good move. That's one of those trades where I really felt like, okay, Cat can really help them. He brings a lot of size and shooting for them.
Yeah.
And they lose DiVincenzo, which I think that helps Minnesota too in their depth
Yeah.
for sure.
Yep.
But Cat brings that shooting with size. So, but I
Yeah.
got Boston coming out of the East too as well, especially if Porzingis is healthy, and they got sneaky depth too. So I like Boston. They could go small and go big. I just don't feel like any team in the East, even with the Knicks making all those improvements, I think Boston's still ahead of them as well. In the West, I'd like Dallas. I think Dallas will be in the conference finals as well. But I'm gonna go OKC Dallas in the
Mm.
West. And I think it's gonna be a rematch too. I think it's gonna be Boston Dallas again. And I think Boston repeats and Jason Tatum's the MVP. So I think he's gonna show that I'm the best player on this team. And all that Olympic benching, I think he's coming on a redemption tour himself. He's
Mm.
gonna be one of those revenge tours, I should say,
Mm.
himself. And I think it's Tatum time. So he could be an MVP as well. He's a dark horse for MVP too. He was in the mix last season for regular
Yeah,
season
for
MVP.
most of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, for most of the season. So, but I'm going Boston over Dallas in the finals again. So, all
Okay.
right, well, we covered it all, guys. Appreciate you guys always. This is always fun. I think it's one of my favorite podcasts each and every year because we just get the in depth talking one of our favorite sports, not our favorite sports, period. So again, can't appreciate you guys enough. Our annual, we got to do this again. We'll check in maybe mid-season, All-Star break, and finals or playoffs. Of course, we'll do that. So let everyone know they can follow you. Jameis, we'll start with you. Where they can follow you on social media and what you got going on, things like that.
Going on dad things.
Mm-hmm.
Work. One going to college, one sophomore, one kindergarten, and I'm doing dad things, supporting my wife and her board of elections and all the
Yes,
things that she's
congratulations
doing.
on that. Yes.
I've taken my back seat. Ministry and dad that's about it. But you can find me at Jameis Jeter everywhere. That's just name nobody has, so it's the easiest way to put it down. JAMUSGETER on every platform. TikTok I don't do too much with, but I
Mhm.
am there. Um, but you can find me everywhere, Jameis Jeter.
No doubt, no doubt, as I know, as you said, we grew up together and all that. So yes, definitely. Uh, just being a dad, you said ministry, husband, all those things. Yeah, but I appreciate, we appreciate the brotherhood as always and everything too. And Damien,
Absolutely.
my real deal brother, man. Let them know where they can find you, what you got coming up. I know you got probably another NBA You got another NBA preview show coming up soon. I'm sure. So I'm on the lookout for that. But let them know where you can find the podcast and your takes and all those things.
So yes, thank you again for having me on. I really appreciate doing this show each and every year with you guys, and look forward to our mid-season review when that comes up for sure.
Yeah.
You can find me at The Real Deal WDA. That's The Real Deal, W as in whiskey, D as in Delta, A as in Alpha, on all social media platforms. That's where you'll find a lot of my real deal takes on the NBA, NFL, and boxing. I have made it my mission this year to conquer NBA betting. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but we're gonna go on this journey together. So if
Okay.
you want to watch me along this journey and maybe make some money with me, go ahead and follow me there, and you'll be able to catch my videos. And I also will be doing betting articles. I dropped one today on realdealtakes.com. So if you want to make some money in the NBA betting world, I have made it my mission again. I'm going to be watching a lot of basketball, doing a lot of research, making sure that I'm bringing you the best information possible for these bets. So make sure you follow me to get on that train with me. The Real Deal with Damian Adams is my podcast that you can find on any podcast platform. I usually do it every Monday. Like you mentioned, definitely doing a basketball preview with a betting spin this Monday. So make sure you look out for that. And man, I'm just happy to be able to create, in a sports world, man. That's just something that it's a lot of us out here doing it, but it's great that we have this entry to be able to do it and do something that we love, man. So I'm just enjoying it, and thank you again for having me on the show.
For sure, definitely, man. And like I said, dope podcast. Been a guest, and we've done so much things together. So I definitely follow Damien on all social media platforms and the betting whole thing. You know, that's what I do. I love the NBA, NFL. I bet on WNBA, all those things. So
No
for sure.
wonders on the 10 days. No wonders on the 10-day
Yeah,
two ways, right? That's the new
yes,
news, right?
yeah, that's it. Yeah, for sure.
They
But
don't
so
want people making that easy money.
no, no. Yeah, the betting thing and fantasy, all those things, man, really. But I really appreciate both of you guys, and you guys can follow me, The Real Deal with Courtney Harden, on all podcasts, social media platforms. I mean, Courtney Harden, if you Google that or anything like that, you can find all the shows there. I drop a show a couple times a week, so just be on the lookout for that on the BS3 Network again. Until next time, really appreciate you guys. Thank you again, and this is always something like I said, some of the best times just talking NBA with you guys. So really appreciate both of y'all. So until next time, as always, peace. God bless.
All right.